781. Summon the heroic spirits and gather at the holy court. Are you the evil emperor? It's all slander. So it's an heroic spirit, you suddenly realized, nodding. I almost thought it was an evil spirit. You wondered if these heroic spirits in the visions, whose strength was not weak, could be used by you. Does the human emperor palace not have a place to summon heroic spirits? Yes, master, it does. The 5-clawed golden dragon arrived next to the human emperor palace and transformed into a side hall, with the 3 characters, Heroic Spirit Hall, written on it. You nodded. It seemed the human emperor palace still had great potential, pressuring it a bit had brought forth a Heroic Spirit Hall. You entered the Heroic Spirit Hall and saw it filled with densely packed spirit tablets. You asked how to summon them. The Heroic Spirit Hall's voice echoed. Master, to summon heroic spirits, you must use the human emperor's essence blood. This heroic spirit was actually the 5-clawed golden dragon, using the human emperor palace's abilities to randomly capture other shore evil spirits. The cost was the 5-clawed golden dragon's own power. It certainly didn't want to summon too many. It knew you cherished your body, so it deliberately set the human emperor's essence blood as a condition. Upon hearing this, your brows furrowed slightly, as expected. But you still randomly dripped a drop of essence blood onto a spirit tablet, wanting to see the effect. Soon, the heroic spirit hall vibrated slightly. The blood-dripped spirit tablet split into 2, and a human race heroic spirit, bearing fangs and claws, was revived by you. This human race heroic spirit, though seemingly not fully conscious, possessed considerable strength, being an ordinary other shore. It was unknown which other shore powerhouse from human race history it was. The human race has a long history, having endured several great destructions. Thinking of the many deceased other shore powerhouses in human race history, you would need to expend some effort to summon them all. Afterward, you squeezed out another drop of blood. However, this drop of human emperor's blood, you did not drip onto a spirit tablet, but instead used it to create an incarnation. Then, you had the incarnation drip the blood onto the spirit tablets to summon heroic spirits. The incarnation was also a part of you, so the blood on its body was certainly also human emperor's blood. Seeing your maneuver, the walls of the heroic spirit hall darkened by a third. Were you exploiting a bug here? But it still had no choice but to summon more heroic spirits for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. When the number of heroic spirits reached 10, the heroic spirit hall fell silent. You exclaimed in surprise, why aren't you continuing to summon them? There's enough blood. The heroic spirit hall emitted a slightly weak voice. Master, only 10 heroic spirits can be summoned per year. The limit for this year has been reached. Upon hearing this, you felt somewhat unenthusiastic. Only 10 a year was a bit insufficient. You had planned to summon several hundred or even 1,000 at once, forming an other shore realm heroic spirit army. Now it seemed you could only accumulate them slowly over time. When you left the heroic spirit hall and returned outside, you saw many powerhouses had arrived at the Celestial Tin Holy Court headquarters. Among them were those from the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty, as well as the Junyu Divine Court and the Burial Flower Spirit Realm. There were also a small number of reclusive ancient cultivators. The Kunpeng ancestor of the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty saw you and immediately sneered, I didn't expect it, Lu Changsheng, you are actually the evil emperor. You were greatly shocked. When did you become the evil emperor? Why didn't you know? You told the Kunpeng ancestor not to slander you out of thin air. The Kunpeng ancestor, however, said that the source of the evil emperor palace's emergence vision was at your Celestial Tin Holy Court headquarters, and soon after it appeared, your heavenly Dao pursuit order disappeared. Doesn't this prove that the evil emperor palace is in your hands? If you possess the evil emperor palace, who else but you is the evil emperor? You laughed in anger. These people wanted to frame you, they should just say so, instead of claiming you possessed some evil emperor palace. What you possessed was clearly the human emperor palace. Those visions were scenes of human race heroic spirits fighting in all directions. What did they have to do with the evil emperor palace? They were just talking nonsense with their eyes wide open. They wanted to dump all the blame on you. You looked at Gongsun Ce in the crowd. He was a celestial mystery successor, and you believed he would be reasonable and give you justice. So, you said to him, Brother Gongsun, you know me. If I were the evil emperor, I wouldn't have gone to your heavenly mystery holy land stronghold for heavenly mystery divination back then. Wouldn't that be walking straight into a trap? Gongsun Ce was silent for a moment, then said that if you wanted to prove your innocence, you should take out that treasure and let everyone see it. You did not agree. Inside the human emperor palace, there were still several hundred corpses of other shore powerhouses that had not been dealt with. If they were seen, it would inevitably create a bad impression. Besides, these people were already planning to slander you. Even if they saw the human emperor palace, they could completely call a deer a horse and say it was the evil emperor palace. At that time, you would still be unable to defend yourself. Therefore, even taking out the human emperor palace would not be very useful. Of course, your behavior, in the eyes of others, was a sign of a guilty conscience. You then turned your gaze to the Lord of Suppressing Mountain's divine court and the burial flower spirit empress. You said that the two of them knew you, and if you were the evil emperor, you would not have self-funded the purification of those tribes infected by special devilish chi. Unexpectedly, the Lord of Suppressing Mountain's divine court shook his head. Who knows if you were deliberately colluding with the demon race? Besides, if you possess the evil emperor palace, sacrificing those tribes would also benefit you. Because the evil emperor palace inherently possesses the ability to refine living beings to strengthen itself. You also knew this point. This was merely a similarity in abilities. Because your human emperor palace and the evil emperor palace still had fundamental differences. That is, your human emperor palace only refined other race, not human race. Whereas the true evil emperor palace could refine all 10,000 races and all spirits. From this point of view, your human emperor palace could not be the evil emperor palace. Unexpectedly, the Lord of Suppressing Mountain's divine court, your ally, also didn't believe you. You couldn't help but feel disheartened. Now, you were practically the target of universal condemnation. It seemed everyone regarded you as the evil emperor. Furthermore, enemies like the Kunpeng ancestor and the fire spirit old ancestor were constantly fanning the flames, inciting the crowd to act against you, to eliminate evil and uphold the Tao. This scene reminded you of a person named Zhang Quishan from your previous life. Facing universal condemnation, he turned his blade on himself. But you were not that coward Zhang Quishan. Whoever dared to slander you, you would cut them down. Just as you could no longer suppress your anger and were about to make a move, a voice like heavenly music appeared on the scene. This concubine believes in Saint Lord Lu. These words came from the burial flower spirit empress's mouth. Unexpectedly, in the end, it was she who understood you. However, her next sentence made your expression change drastically. She said, Saint Lord Lu, as long as you are willing to send troops to help my burial flower spirit realm resist the 8 Desolations divine dynasty, I will believe you. Good, good, good. You had thought she truly believed you, but it turned out to be just a conditional transaction. 782. Suppressing the whole scene, the evil emperor was furious. Compete for the holy emperor and create the fairyland. I, Lu Changsheng, act according to my conscience. You wolf-hearted, dog-lunged, unreasonable scoundrels, today I will chop you all to death. After saying this, your 9 great avatars simultaneously unleashed the yin-yang reversal death art, and 9 invincible chi permeated the field. This left everyone horrified. Clearly, you have grown stronger again. Kill. The 9 great avatars attacked together, and the Kunpeng saint ancestor, who had been clamoring the most, was directly annihilated. That was a most ancient one, yet he died at this current time node. Everyone didn't even think about fighting and just ran away. Your 9 great avatars naturally wouldn't let them go and relentlessly pursued them. Your main body watched their panicked backs with amusement. Look, this is strength. If you don't have strength, you can only be slandered by others. But with strength, you can defend your innocence. Lu Changsheng, you have never bullied the weak in your journey until now. The reason you went on a killing spree today is entirely because these people brought it upon themselves. The most hateful thing is that these guys, while running, were still shouting, "It's over, the evil emperor is enraged out of humiliation. Don't kill me, we shouldn't have exposed you, we were wrong." It seems they believed you were truly the evil emperor until their dying breath. Your Tao body's gaze turned cold, and his attacks became even more ruthless. Enough. Just then, endless auspicious clouds surged across the heavens and earth, and a young man, with his hands behind his back, stepped on the clouds and arrived. It was none other than the Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor. The Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor rescued the survivors on the field and coldly said to you, "It seems you have no intention of submitting. If that's the case, then let our armies decide the victor." Those stronger than the other shore are not allowed to interfere, otherwise, don't blame this lord for being merciless. After speaking, the heavenly talisman old ancestor left with the people from the 8 Desolations divine dynasty. You came before Gongsun Ce and said, "Brother Gongsun, you must testify for me." The heavenly talisman old ancestor himself said that he would decide the victor with armies. Quote. Gongsun Ce smiled bitterly. The sect's mission for him is to destroy the evil Emperor Hall. Unless you can hand it over, he cannot testify. Quote. You raised your palm and swore that you absolutely did not obtain the evil Emperor Hall. Gongsun Ce shook his head, clearly disbelieving. You originally thought that as a celestial mystery successor, he was a reasonable person. Unexpectedly, he also believed these slanders. Indeed, none of those who believe in heavenly mystery are good people. You snorted coldly and flicked your sleeves, departing. Afterward, you began to mobilize troops and prepare for the upcoming great battle. Over the years, the human race of the Celestial Tin Holy Court has been armed to the extreme by you. Among those of the same level, their army's combat power is among the best. However, the 8 Desolations divine dynasty has already occupied nearly 200 saint-state territories, and their army numbers far exceed yours. You are not entirely sure who will be the final winner. If the human race wins, it will likely be a Pyrrhic victory. And within the army are the essence of the Celestial Tin Holy Court. Once there are massive casualties, the only loss will be your strength of the myriad people. This is equivalent to indirectly weakening your strength. Even if the human race wins, you cannot accept it at the cost of a Pyrrhic victory. Therefore, for the human race to win, it can only be an overwhelming, decisive victory. This is clearly not an easy task. You instructed your 9 great avatars to begin producing a large number of disposable military weapons, such as artillery platforms, formations, talismanic incantations, or disposable destructive magic treasures. Produce as many as possible. You had previously hunted down 400 to 500 other shore powerhouses. Most of them possessed primordial spirit treasures. Coupled with the primordial spirit treasures you obtained through other channels, you now have a total of over 380 primordial spirit treasures in your possession. You plan to mobilize all the half-step other shore powerhouses of the Celestial Tin Holy Court and form the Hongmeng army with these nearly 400 primordial spirit treasures as the core. You believe this will surely give the 8 Desolations divine dynasty a huge surprise. In addition, during the recent slander incident, you captured both the Lord of Suppressing Mountains divine court and the Burial Flower Spirit Empress. You can completely command the various lords by holding the Son of Heaven, allowing the 2 great forces to consume more of the 8 Desolations divine dynasty's military strength for you. Under your pressure, the Lord of Suppressing Mountains divine court and the Burial Flower Spirit Empress agreed to cooperate with you. Of course, you didn't intentionally make the 2 great forces sacrifice their lives. You also provided many talismanic incantations in various formations. This way, the maximum destructive effect could be achieved. However, the heavenly talisman old ancestor did not abide by martial ethics. As soon as the 8 Desolations divine dynasty suffered slightly heavier casualties, he personally took action and wiped out the last remaining resistance forces of the Junyu divine court and the Burial Flower Spirit realm. At this point, apart from the 75 saint states controlled by the Celestial Tin Holy Court, the other 200+ saint states have basically become the territory of the 8 Desolations divine dynasty. Now, among those who can contend for the Sacred Emperor position in the Transcendent Saint realm, only the Celestial Tin Holy Court and the 8 Desolations divine dynasty remain. As for who can ascend to the Sacred Emperor position, many people are more optimistic about the 8 Desolations divine dynasty. There's no helping it. After all, they have a perfect other shore. However, many people are also optimistic about you. Because you are the cause of the great calamity, the evil emperor. You possess the Hongmeng Supreme Treasure Evil Emperor Hall, which you have never used in front of outsiders. And it is also related to the Supreme Taoist Lord. It's truly hard to say who will emerge victorious. After unifying all territories outside the Celestial Tin Holy Court, the 8 Desolations divine dynasty began to reorganize its army and prepare for the final great battle. You, on your side, naturally weren't idle either. However, in addition to reorganizing the army and preparing for battle, you were also vigorously relocating the human race populace. Because the heavenly talisman old ancestor, a perfect other shore, is on the opposing side. The initiative is undoubtedly with them. The heavenly talisman old ancestor verbally said he would decide the victor with armies. But if he disregards his face and personally intervenes, you would be powerless against him. Therefore, if you don't prepare in advance, you can only stare blankly when the time comes. As for where to relocate these human race members, this is also a considerable problem for ordinary people. It's not as simple as just finding a random dimension and stuffing them in. The human race of the Transcendent Saint realm possesses extremely powerful overall strength, and ordinary worlds simply cannot withstand their power. Fortunately, there are still several hundred corpses of other race other shore in the human Emperor Palace. The human Emperor Palace refined these other race other shore mainly by devouring their essence, chi, and spirit. Most of the other race other shore corpses were still preserved intact. They can be used by you to create powerful new worlds. This new world will be based on your lower realm's Chongsheng world. However, it will be immeasurably more powerful than the Chongsheng world. You plan to name it Immortal Realm. 783. The Immortal Court reappears, diverting the human race. 3 waves of offensive, the Hongmeng army. You are the immortal ancestor. The world you created is naturally the immortal realm. This immortal realm is countless times stronger than the immortal realm of the lower realm. Your Tao of the 5 great innates inherently encompasses the 5 stages of all things in the universe. The speed of creating worlds is astonishing. Almost every day, the corpse of another race other shore is dissolved, creating an extremely stable territory. Because it was built from the corpses of other shores, the immortal realm is practically a miniature Transcendent Saint realm. The corpse of an ordinary other race other shore can create a territory about 1/10 the size of Tianxi Holy State. You originally intended to place the immortal realm within the human Emperor Palace. But you discovered that its final area would far exceed your imagination. Even the human Emperor Palace would find it difficult to bear. So, it could only be placed in the boundless void realm outside the Transcendent Saint realm. While creating territory, you continuously transferred the human race from the Transcendent Saint realm into the immortal realm. A year and a half later, more than 400 corpses of other race other shores were all transformed into nourishment for the immortal realm. At this time, the immortal realm was already the size of over 40 saint states, exceeding half of the celestial Tin Holy Court's territory in the Transcendent Saint realm. Moreover, to avoid the deductions of heaven's mystery Holy Land, the human race forces that entered the immortal realm were no longer the celestial Tin Holy Court, but the eternal life immortal court. The celestial Tin Holy Court was originally the force inherited from your elder brother, Tianxi Saint Lord. You are a grateful person. Not changing the name of the Holy Court for so many years was to commemorate the deceased Tianxi Saint Lord. But now it is different. You have already made the celestial Tin Holy Court famous throughout the Transcendent Saint realm, and you believe that the name of Tianxi Saint Lord will also be immortalized with it. You have fulfilled your gratitude. There is no need to continue using the name Celestial Tin Holy Court. Next, you plan to vigorously promote the immortal path among the human race in the immortal realm. Therefore, Eternal Life Immortal Court is more suitable. Another 2.5 years passed. You have transferred almost 90% of the Celestial Tin Divine Court's population into the immortal realm. Now, the Celestial Tin Holy Court only has war legions and logistical personnel remaining. They primarily live in your specially made suspended cities. These suspended cities move with divine speed, and they have huge teleportation formations inside that can directly connect to the immortal realm. If Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor truly acts shamelessly and intervenes personally, then you can quickly transfer even this last 10% of the human race. A total of 4 years have passed since the slander incident. The number of troops in the Celestial Tin Holy Court reached several hundred billion. All of them are the elite of the elite. Logistical personnel are in the trillions. And a considerable portion can be directly converted into combat personnel to supplement the regular soldiers. In these 4 years, the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty also completed its preparations. The Divine Dynasty's army finally began its mighty advance, attacking the territory of the Celestial Tin Holy Court. The scale of the momentum astonished countless strong individuals. The 8 Desolations Divine Emperor even boasted that he would conquer the Celestial Tin Holy Court within 3 months. Serving as the vanguard were the conscripts the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty had seized from various defeated forces. Their numbers reached trillions. The 8 great royal clans clearly intended to use their lives to complete the first wave of attrition against the Celestial Tin Holy Court. These conscripts, knowing they were cannon fodder, had extremely poor fighting morale. They were all killed by the 308 legions that the Celestial Tin Holy Court had expanded to, using talismanic incantations and battle formations. These people did not die in vain. Because beneath the defense line, there was a constantly active sacrificial Tao formation. The flesh and divine soul of these deceased individuals would be directly sacrificed to the Human Emperor Palace, enhancing the power of the Human Emperor Palace. The first wave of offense lasted 43 days. The brutality of the battle formed dozens of rivers of blood along the border. After the great battle ended, the Celestial Tin Holy Court's army had not even caught its breath. They immediately faced the second wave of offense. This wave of offense had much fewer people, only about 600 billion. But all of them were elites drawn from various races, with tens of billions in the Great Tao realm, and even hundreds of thousands in the Sacrificial Tao. Moreover, the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty had equipped them with various sharp weapons, definitely dozens of times stronger than the first wave of trillions of cannon fodder. They did cause some trouble for the Celestial Tin Holy Court's army, but it was just trouble. Tianxi Saint Lord's army itself had a higher overall cultivation level, and their various equipment were unbelievably luxurious. Almost all cultivators carried magic treasures and sharp weapons that were one rank higher than their own. And not just one item. In comparison, the various elites of the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty looked like beggars. Even so, under the supervision of the 8 great royal clans, these 10,000 races elites could only charge forward with their heads down. The 8 great royal clans had promised them that if they could tear open a gap in the defense line, they would not only be promoted by one rank but could also immediately apply to withdraw from the battlefield. Though the hope was slim, at least there was hope. On the battlefield, there were clashes of blades everywhere. Various battle formations glowed wildly. Beneath the battle formations lay piles of bones. This great battle lasted for 2 months. At first, the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty seemed to have a numerical advantage. The further it went, the more their army collapsed like a crumbling mountain, and the royal clan's supervisory teams couldn't even keep up with beheading the fleeing soldiers. Ultimately, the Celestial Tin Holy Court repelled this offensive with a cost of only several billion casualties. Seeing the exaggerated casualty ratio between the two sides, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor was so enraged that he executed several Milky Way commanders. The originally planned third wave of offense also had to be postponed for half a year. This third wave of offense consisted entirely of elites from the major royal clans. They were originally intended for a decisive battle, but now it seemed they couldn't break through the Celestial Tin Holy Court's defenses at all. They could only be re-equipped and sent into battle again, otherwise, it would be suicide. Half a year later, this re-equipped group of royal clan elites charged towards the Celestial Tin Holy Court. Tianxi Saint Lord's several hundred billion troops finally felt the pressure. If the battle continued normally, hundreds of billions of people would likely be lost. But you still have a trump card, which is your Hongmeng army. The Hongmeng army is entirely composed of half-step other shores, small in number, only about 10,000. This is almost 70% of the Celestial Tin Holy Court's half-step other shores. But the most formidable aspect is not these 10,000 half-step other shores, but the several hundred primordial spirit treasures. They are wielded by these 10,000 half-step other shores using formations. On the battlefield, they kill gods and Buddhas. There is simply no one-on-one match for them. Even ordinary other shores, if fewer than 30, cannot do anything against them. However, the Hongmeng army has its pros and cons. Its appearance means that you are directly telling others that the large number of missing other shores died at your hands. However, they have already slandered you as the evil emperor. You don't care about the negative impact of them knowing. Anyway, as long as the perfect other shore doesn't make a move, no matter how many other shores come, they cannot do anything to you. 784. The small success of Tai Shi, the pseudo-Hongmeng Lingbao. Energy assimilation, the foundation of the 5 Tai. With the help of the Hongmeng army, the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty's carefully prepared third wave of attacks suffered an even greater defeat than the last. These 3 battles lasted a total of 2 years. The 8 Desolations Divine Emperor's boastful declaration of taking down the Celestial Tin Holy Court in 3 months now seemed like a joke. In these 2 years, besides achieving victory, your Tai Shi Dao also broke through to the minor achievement realm. Ever since the Human Emperor Palace advanced, your infinite enlightenment has been maximized, and your 5 great innates Dao has been advancing by leaps and bounds daily. And the Tai Shi Dao is the existence your Dao body has used the most in the past 6 years. It breaking through to the minor achievement realm first was not entirely unexpected. After Tai Chi minor achievement, you can create magic treasures that are even more powerful than top-tier Vault of Heaven treasures. However, there is still a certain gap between these magic treasures and primordial spirit treasures. You call them pseudo-primordial spirit treasures. Just like the pseudo-sacrificial Tao in the lower realm. Although it is far from a complete sacrificial Tao, it is enough to overwhelmingly suppress most great Tao realm cultivators. The pseudo-primordial spirit treasures in your hands, as long as their scale increases, will undoubtedly become another major killing weapon in your arsenal. Besides the enhanced ability of material recombination, you also gained a new ability. That is material solidification. There are tiny vibrations between material particles. There are also fluctuations in space. You can completely stop these material vibrations and spatial fluctuations. This is not time stagnation. Time stagnation is when time stops flowing. Your ability, however, is a change to matter and space. If you completely solidify a person's matter, it will achieve an effect similar to a body-fixing spell. If you only solidify a part of their body, it will cause immense destructive power. This ability can also be used by sacrificial Tao and even great Tao powerhouses. But their level of influence is limited. Your Tai Chi Tao, however, is the supreme rule of matter, influencing all tangible things in the world. The divine soul, in order to interfere with reality, must have a material carrier. Even the perfect other shore is no exception. Only when the mind reaches the ninth supreme realm and gives birth to holy light can this rule be broken. An other shore realm cultivator who has lost their material carrier is like a tiger without teeth. They are essentially no threat in front of your ninth level mental realm. If used on the battlefield, its destructive power is even more astonishing. Of course, although you cannot personally act, you can develop related weapons to reduce casualties for the human race army. After the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty's 3 waves of attacks failed, both sides began to enter a stalemate. This is your favorite fighting style. This way, it can give you enough time to develop. You believe that the minor achievement of the other 5 great innates will also bring you many surprises. The 5-clawed golden dragon of the human emperor palace also hopes the battle can continue. All fallen other race members will be sacrificed. During this time, he has been eating very well. Time flew by, and this stalemate battle passed in the blink of an eye, lasting 5 years. The 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty once again left behind hundreds of billions of corpses, yet still could not break through the Celestial Tin Holy Court's defenses. And in these 5 years, you also successfully brought your Tao of Primordial Beginning to minor achievement. The Tao of Primordial Beginning is the ancestor of Origin Chi creation, and it was one of the first 5 great innates you encountered. Its realm was originally far ahead. But due to the later life and death tribulation, where you had to face the incarnation of the Tai Chi Taoist, you were forced to expend effort to comprehend the Tai Chi Tao to a level surpassing it. Even so, it still surpassed the other 3 great innates, becoming the second of the 5 great innates to reach minor achievement. The Tao of Primordial Beginning is the beginning of existence, and it excels in the aspect of world creation. Its contribution to your creation of the immortal realm was significant. Now that it has reached minor achievement, its power of creation has increased. Not only that, you also gained a new ability. That is to convert the opponent's energy into your own origin chi, allowing you to sustain yourself through battle. You are strong, your enemy is weak. Unless they can absolutely crush you with overwhelming strength, otherwise, among those of the same level, even if they are several times stronger than you, they simply cannot harm you. You named this ability Energy Assimilation. With it, you believe that when facing Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor, you will also be able to last a bit longer. Of course, only 2 of the great innates have reached minor achievement so far. If all 5 great innates reach minor achievement, you vaguely feel that a qualitative change will occur. Previously, the Tai Divine Dipper, when proposing methods to overcome the Heavenly Tao tribulation, mentioned that besides advancing the human Emperor Palace to a Hongmeng Supreme Treasure, it was also necessary for all 5 great innates to reach minor achievement. The human Emperor Palace advancing to a Hongmeng Supreme Treasure can obscure Heavenly Tao perception. The 5 great innates represent the 5 stages of the evolution of all things in chaos. It can be said that they encompass all things in chaos. If all of them reach minor achievement, what kind of ability would that be? Anyway, you feel it definitely won't disappoint you. This is also why you haven't rushed to deduce the next Immortal Path Realm After Life and Death Realm 10th level. In the life and death realm, you relied on world-extinguishing cultivation, era cultivation, immortal Tao principles, and primordial qi. You can continue to strengthen in this direction. But in that case, it would only be a reinforced version of the life and death realm, and you are not satisfied with that. You have decided to establish the next immortal path realm based on the 5 great innates. Another important factor that prompted you to make this decision is the Tai Divine Dipper. The Tai Divine Dipper has always been guiding you towards the minor achievement of the 5 great innates. And who is behind the Tai Divine Dipper? Naturally, it is the Tai Taoist, the head of the 5 great innates. You do not think that the various deductions and answers given by the Tai Divine Dipper are its own abilities. It is most likely the Tai Taoist, manipulating all of this from behind the scenes. During the physical body tribulation, he made you cultivate all 5 great innates. For ordinary people, this is a difficult task to complete. Fortunately, you are exceptionally gifted and diligent enough to barely manage it. However, why did he do this? What is his ultimate goal? You vaguely feel a headache coming on. But you can't even deal with someone like Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor, who has just broken through to perfect other shore. Let alone the Tai Taoist, the head of the 5 great innates. Oh, and there's also the even more troublesome Heaven's Mystery Holy Land. The Tianji Pavilion in the lower realm slandered you as a demon star. The Heaven's Mystery Holy Land in the upper realm slandered you as an evil emperor. Both of these clearly have a death wish. But your current strength is insufficient. You have not yet broken through to the immortal path realm that corresponds to the other shore. You can only strengthen your strength first. No matter what schemes and tricks they have, you will surely break them with your efforts. 785. One word, the demons will send out troops. A wise man knows the times, 3 conditions. As the army struggled to defeat the celestial Tin Holy Court, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor grew increasingly anxious. Initially, he had thought they could win with an absolute numerical advantage. But now, it seemed hope was slim. However, he didn't want to go back on his word and act personally. At his realm, every word and action carried great karma. Although he hadn't made a heavenly Tao vow never to act, he wouldn't easily go against his word. Most importantly, he was still wary of Supreme Taoist Lord, otherwise, he would have acted long ago and wouldn't have said that. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor came to Heavenly Mystery Divine Mountain, asking for help. Unexpectedly, Gongsun Ce led him to a great hall where hundreds of Celestial Mystery Gate disciples were performing complex deductions. Countless karma lines intertwined to form 4 clusters, suspended in the center of the great hall. Gongsun Ce said that Heaven's Mystery Holy Land had also been deducing for years who would be the ultimate power to unify the transcendent saint realm. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's arrival was timely, as the results were about to be revealed. A month later, in the center of the Great Hall, the last of the 4 karma clusters slowly transformed into a single character. That character was Court. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's face instantly turned grim. The 8th Desolation's divine dynasty did not have the character Court in its name. This Court could only refer to the Celestial Tin Holy Court. In other words, according to Heaven's Mystery Holy Land's deductions, the Celestial Tin Holy Court was the ultimate victor. Gongsun Ce sighed, saying the result was as he had expected. If no variables were added, evil Emperor Lu Chengsheng would likely win and become the new sacred emperor. I don't think so, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor snorted coldly, having made a certain decision. Isn't a variable needed, he can just create the variable himself. Soon, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor went to the underground and returned after several days. Afterward, your eye of illusory breaking saw that the underground demon race began to gather in large numbers, showing signs of impacting the surface. Since the last great calamity, when they were severely damaged by the god race. During this current great calamity of destruction, the demon race had almost always remained hidden underground. Had they finally run out of patience and were coming out to reap the fruits? Within the territory of the Celestial Tin Holy Court, there was one large underground passage and dozens of medium and small passages. To avoid affecting the front lines, you dispatched 100 billion logistical soldiers to guard these locations. Now that the demon race showed signs of a major assault, you increased the troop strength by another 300 billion. Of course, all the additional troops were logistical soldiers. But it should be enough. Because the demon race's attack on the surface couldn't possibly target only the Celestial Tin Holy Court, The 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty had even more demon race passages, which would consume even more energy. However, the subsequent developments exceeded your expectations. The underground demon race indeed attacked all passages simultaneously. But the passages on the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty's side encountered no obstruction. After the underground demon race emerged, they did not harm the people of the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty. Instead, they headed directly towards the border of the Celestial Tin Holy Court. Now you understood. So, this underground demon race wasn't targeting all living beings on the surface, but only the human race of your Celestial Tin Holy Court. How strong was the underground demon race? The demon race was originally the ultimate victor of the last war between gods and demons. Even if they suffered losses, after endless years of recuperation, their overall strength was definitely greater than the sum of all surface races. Previously, facing the 10,000 races warriors of the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty, the Celestial Tin Holy Court could still maintain a certain advantage with its equipment. But now, with the demon race intervening, that advantage vanished completely. You gnashed your teeth in anger. They all slandered you as the evil emperor. Open your eyes and see, who is truly colluding with the demon race. During the previous great calamity of destruction, the demon race almost slaughtered all the 10,000 races. Ultimately, it was the god race who stepped forward and preserved a few seeds. The fact that the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty collaborated with the demon race already proved its evil essence. And it even slandered you as the evil emperor before. It was truly a thief crying, "Stop thief," utterly shameless. In fact, there were dissenting voices within the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty. But they were quickly suppressed. The most important thing now was to defeat the Celestial Tin Holy Court. Teaming up with the demon race was a strategic decision made by the higher-ups. Anyone who dared to voice dissent would be eliminated. Soon, the 8 Desolations Divine Emperor sent an envoy to persuade you to surrender. The two sides had been fighting for so many years. The envoy knew that given your character, surrender was impossible, but he still couldn't resist putting on a show. The doomsday of your Celestial Tin Divine Court has arrived. If you surrender now, our Divine Emperor might show great mercy and spare your life. To speak like that in front of you clearly meant seeking death, but the envoy had no intention of returning alive anyway. To his surprise, not only did you not execute him, but you simply said one word, "Good." This baffled the envoy. The envoy confirmed again, "Does the Saint Lord agree to surrender?" You said there was an old saying in your hometown, "A wise man submits to circumstances." Now that the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty and the demon race had joined forces, you were definitely no match and could only protect yourself. The envoy was both surprised and delighted, and quickly ran back to report the matter. If he could truly facilitate this, it would be a great achievement for him. The 8 Desolations Divine Emperor hadn't expected you to be so adaptable. You surrendered directly before the fighting even began. Your flexibility was truly remarkable. However, whether to accept your surrender still had to be decided by Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor pondered for 3 days and finally agreed. With Supreme Taoist Lord present, it would be difficult for him to kill you. Moreover, the human race had great war potential, and if they truly fought to the death, he feared benefiting the demon race. Agreeing to your surrender seemed to be the optimal solution for now. As long as he could quickly take over the luck of the world and ascend to the position of Sacred Emperor, all major trends would be set. By then, even if you went back on your word, it would be useless. Of course, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor also proposed 3 conditions. The first was to have the territory of the human race. The larger the territory, the greater the war potential. This condition aimed to reduce the human race's war potential. The second was for you to abolish the title of Celestial Tin Holy Court and become a human king under the rule of the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty. This was the most normal condition you expected. But the third condition was quite strange. He wanted you to make a heavenly Tao vow in front of him that you would not establish any force containing the character, court, in the future. Was this a case of, once bitten, twice shy? Even if you didn't establish a force with the character, court, you could establish other forces. What impact could that possibly have? However, this condition was very easy for you and not harsh. The 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty proposed 3 conditions, but you also had 3 conditions. 786. Gather all the human races in the world, and achieve Tai Chi. Integrate all things, let me, the ancestor, do it. First, you must bring all the human race from the Transcendent Saint realm to your current territory, and the 8 Desolations divine dynasty must not obstruct you. This is the condition you value most. The more people and powerful individuals you have under your command, the stronger your all laws will become. Second, ceding half of the territory is too much, you can only cede 1/3. Actually, you don't care about the amount of territory. You have already opened the immortal realm, and your future focus will be within the immortal realm. The territory of the Transcendent Saint realm merely serves as a foothold. Anyway, the resources within the territory have long been plundered by you. What you care about has always been the population, not the territory. The reason you brought up this condition was to avoid agreeing too easily and making the heavenly talisman old ancestor suspicious. Third, the human race territory will have autonomy, and the 8 Desolations divine dynasty must not easily interfere. This is to avoid unnecessary trouble in the future. Both sides engaged in 3 months of consultation and negotiation regarding their respective 3 conditions. Ultimately, your 3 conditions were largely implemented. However, the heavenly talisman old ancestor also added a condition to his 3rd term. That is, in addition to a heavenly Tao oath, you must also swear by your Tao heart. If you violate this oath, you will not be able to transcend in the future. You could tell that the heavenly talisman old ancestor cared most about this 3rd condition. You just didn't understand, was the character, Ting, Court Palace really that important to him? Fortunately, you have the eternal life immortal court in the immortal realm. Even if you can't establish other forces with the character, Ting, Court Palace in the future, having the eternal life immortal court is enough. On the very day the Tianxi Saint Lord revoked his faction's title and announced his allegiance to the 8 Desolations divine dynasty, Gongsun Ce of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land came to stop it. He advised the heavenly talisman old ancestor to cut the grass and eradicate the roots, leaving no future troubles. However, you ridiculed Gongsun Ce for using the heavenly talisman old ancestor as a pawn. If eliminating you were truly that easy, Heaven's Mystery Holy Land could have acted themselves, why bother others? The heavenly talisman old ancestor hesitated for a moment, but ultimately affixed his great seal, accepting the surrender. He didn't want to cause any complications now, he only wanted to ascend to the position of sacred emperor as soon as possible. And you, too, transformed from the Saint Lord of the Celestial Tin Holy Court to the human king of the 8 Desolations divine dynasty. Afterward, you dispatched tens of billions of troops to various parts of the Transcendent Saint realm to jehu the human race. These armies used void-crossing boundary boat-like flying vessels as their means of travel, moving at extremely high speeds. There were also various teleportation arrays on the flying vessels. Such cross-saint state teleportation arrays consume enormous energy and are rarely seen in the Transcendent Saint realm. Human race who were willing to go to the human king's fief were immediately teleported away. Those who were unwilling were captured and then teleported. Anyway, whether they went or not, it wasn't up to them. Many races were astonished to see you using such incredibly precious teleportation arrays to transport ordinary human race. This was completely overkill, like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. All the various factions lamented your immense wealth and power. But you secretly scoffed, these other race, how could they understand what it means to be people-oriented? As long as you could bring back the scattered human race in the Transcendent Saint realm, you were willing to pay any price. However, due to the 8 Desolations divine dynasty's long-term negative propaganda against the Celestial Tin Holy Court, many people believed you were capturing them to sacrifice for cultivating demonic technique. Therefore, many people deliberately hid. For this group of people, you offered high rewards. As long as they could bring the people to you, there would be plenty of divine pill and miraculous medicines. This was much easier than plundering cultivation resources. Many other race immediately fell into a fervent craze of capturing human race. Under your combination of soft and hard tactics, a large number of human race were sent back to the human king's fief every day. Many people thought they were going to be sacrificed, but unexpectedly, someone warmly took their hand and said, "Compatriot, you've finally come home." Subsequently, they were introduced to various welfare policies. When they heard that they could regularly receive large amounts of resources without doing anything, they momentarily thought they were in a dream. Immediately, many people sent letters to their relatives and friends, "The treatment here is super good, come quickly." Many relatives and friends still didn't believe it after seeing the letters. But whether they believed it or not was their business. If they didn't believe, at worst, you would just capture them yourself. You have always wanted to establish a world of great harmony. You want all human race to enjoy the benefits, not a single one less. Time flew by, and 3 years passed in a blink. Your way of Taiji finally reached minor achievement. The help the way of Taiji provided you was quite significant. Both the yin-yang reversal death art and ultimate balance were applications of the way of Taiji. And after your way of Taiji reached minor achievement, you, as expected, gained a new ability, the fusion of all laws. Your previous act of balancing world extinguishing cultivation and era cultivation using primordial qi and immortal Tao principles was actually just creating a weak balance between the two. But as long as this balance was broken, you would be at risk of qi deviation. Therefore, this balance was also a restriction, making it difficult for your strength to be fully unleashed. However, the fusion of all laws after the way of Taiji reached minor achievement is the true balancing, fusion, and dominator of all different powers. Not only world extinguishing cultivation and era cultivation, but with the fusion of all laws, all other powers within your body, such as the 5 great innates and all laws, can also be perfectly exerted. Your yin-yang reversal death art can also be used as a regular means. It can be said that with it, your strength can ascend several more levels. At the same time, the sacred emperor ceremony of the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty was finally prepared. Only then did the 8 Desolations Divine Emperor have leisure time to understand the recent situation of the human race. When he heard that the human king had almost brought all the human race in the entire transcendent saint realm under his command, he was greatly astonished. This speed is too fast, isn't it? Such a rapid speed must have consumed an exaggerated astronomical amount of manpower and material resources. It probably cost more than the preparation of the sacred emperor ceremony. The 8 Desolations Divine Emperor suddenly felt some regret. He had originally thought that your action of bringing the human race under your command would last for decades or even a century, which was why he didn't try to obstruct it. Lest you cause a ruckus and affect the sacred emperor ceremony. After all, once he became the sacred emperor, he would have plenty of ways to trip you up. According to his plan, he would then support a new human king in the outside world to contend with you, causing the human race to fall into internal strife. He didn't expect your actions to be so swift. Before he could react, you had already basically brought all the human race into your fief. His calculations undoubtedly died in their infancy. However, fortunately, the sacred emperor ceremony was already prepared. As long as he obtained the sacred emperor position, he would have plenty of methods and means to deal with you. However, on the day before the ceremony, during the morning court, the heavenly talisman old ancestor suddenly walked into the great hall and told him to abdicate. The 8 Desolations Divine Emperor exclaimed in shock, "Old ancestor, didn't you say you would support me as sacred emperor?" The heavenly talisman old ancestor said proudly, "This opportunity is too great, Junior, you can't grasp it. Let me, this old ancestor, do it instead." 787. Sacrifice to the heavenly Tao, the holy emperor's conditions. The evil world, the perfect other side is just like this. All the civil and military officials in the hall stood up to support heavenly talisman old ancestor. The 8 Desolations Divine Emperor, the clan chief of the Tien Fu clan, gave a tragic smile and had no choice but to abdicate. Just like that, heavenly talisman old ancestor became the new 8 Desolations Divine Emperor. You, the lords of various forces who had been invited long ago to attend the celebration, witnessed a farce. It was unexpected that heavenly talisman old ancestor would even contend with his own junior for a position. Perhaps this was a critical strike from an elder. It couldn't always be the juniors seizing the elders' positions, the elders also needed to resist. The first thing heavenly talisman old ancestor did after ascending to power was not to immediately start the grand ceremony, but to rename the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty to the 8 Desolations Divine Court. Everyone was puzzled by his intention. If people from Heaven's Mystery Holy Land were here, they would certainly know why he did this. But Heaven's Mystery Holy Land did not send anyone to attend this celebration. Heavenly talisman old ancestor no longer cared about these things. As long as he transcended, what could a mere Heaven's Mystery Holy Land do? Next, he impatiently began the heaven sacrificing grand ceremony to inform the heavenly Tao that he had unified the transcendent saint realm and sought the sacred emperor fruit position. However, no matter how he sacrificed, the heavenly Tao showed no reaction. Heavenly talisman old ancestor kicked over the offering table and roared, "Why? Why is this happening?" Heavenly talisman old ancestor couldn't understand. He had already unified the transcendent saint realm, so why did the heavenly Tao not react and not grant him the sacred emperor fruit position? According to historical experience, even if he had only nominally completed the unification of the transcendent saint realm, he should have obtained the sacred emperor fruit position. At this moment, you stepped forward. You asked if it was because the 8 Desolations divine dynasty had offended heaven's mystery holy land, causing it to secretly manipulate something. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor felt it was very possible, so he went to heaven's mystery holy land's stronghold in the 8 Desolations divine dynasty, Heavenly Mystery Divine Mountain, to question Gongsun Ce. If Gongsun Ce could not give him a satisfactory answer, he would not mind expelling the people of heaven's mystery holy land. Anyway, he was already a perfect other shore and did not have that much reverence for heaven's mystery holy land. Gongsun Ce said, I didn't do anything. There can only be one reason why you didn't get the sacred emperor fruit position, you haven't unified the transcendent saint realm. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor said it was impossible. Gongsun Ce smiled, you've only unified the surface forces, what about the underground demon race? In the past, there were some forces underground, but they did not amount to much. Unifying the surface was basically unifying the transcendent saint realm. But this great tribulation is different. The demon race's power underground is no weaker than, and even stronger than, the surface forces. If you don't solve the demon race, how can you serve as the sacred emperor? Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's brows furrowed tightly. Solve the demon race? What a joke. The demon race only had one perfect other shore on the surface. But in the last great tribulation, several appeared. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor didn't believe they all died. It was almost impossible to subdue the underground demon race. Gongsun Ce seemed to see through his thoughts and smiled, in the last great tribulation, the demon race only defeated the god race with the help of my heaven's mystery holy land. If you want the demon race to submit, I can help you. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor said expressionlessly, then, what are the conditions? Don't worry, you can definitely accept the conditions. Gongsun Ce waved his hand, and a scene appeared in the void realm before them, which was the vibrant immortal realm. Gongsun Ce said that this realm was the evil realm opened by evil Emperor Liu Changsheng, and it contained 90% of the human race's forces. I want you to destroy the evil realm, kill evil Emperor Liu Changsheng, and retrieve the evil Emperor Hall. How about it? This is much easier than subduing the demon race, right? Unexpectedly, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor snorted, if I could kill Liu Changsheng, I would have done it long ago. Gongsun Ce said, don't worry, I know what you're afraid of. My heaven's mystery holy land will handle Supreme Taoist Lord's trouble for you. Upon hearing this, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's expression finally improved a little. But he asked curiously, why doesn't your heaven's mystery holy land take action yourselves? Gongsun Ce said, every celestial mystery successor has their own assessment task during the Great Tribulation. My assessment task is to retrieve the evil Emperor Hall. If I let others in the Holy Land take action, wouldn't that prove my incompetence and inability to assume the position of the next Saint Lord? Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor nodded and said, don't worry, I will bring the item within 3 days at most. The strength of a perfect other shore was beyond imagination. As long as he personally took action, he believed he could easily deal with you. As for the previous boast of taking down Celestial Tin Holy Court in 3 months, that was just because the people below were too useless, and it had nothing to do with him. This time, he only needed 3 days. Subsequently, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor returned to the 8 Desolations Divine Dynasty. Not long after Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor left, a disciple came to report to Gongsun Ce, saying that another one of the 4 previously deduced characters had appeared. Gongsun Ce quickly went to check and saw that it was a immortal character. On the other side, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor returned to the 8 Wilderness Divine Capital. Your Tao body, who was attending the celebration, saw his unusual expression and shrank back into the crowd. Unexpectedly, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor directly attacked you. Your Tao body was startled. This old fellow went to Heavenly Mystery Divine Mountain, and who knows what kind of bewitching potion he was given, but he came back and immediately attacked you. Although your primal beginning, primal commencement, and yin and yang had successively reached minor achievement during this period, and the power of the myriad people had also greatly increased. But facing a perfect other shore, your Tao body still felt uncertain. It seemed this time he was going to die. However, your Tao body still struggled, employing various powerful means such as all laws integration, material solidification, energy assimilation, ultimate balance, and yin-yang reversal death art. Your Tao body still wanted to die with dignity and see exactly how strong a perfect other shore was. Unexpectedly, this fight lasted for dozens of exchanges. They fought until the great Tao was obliterated. But Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor still couldn't do anything to your Tao body. Haha, a perfect other shore is nothing more than this. After gauging Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's strength, your Tao body laughed loudly, no longer wishing to fight, and directly fled right under his nose, fled. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor was a perfect other shore. He was the strongest existence among the other shore. He actually couldn't even subdue someone who hadn't even achieved a breakthrough to the other shore. Facing the suspicious gazes of the crowd, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor coughed and said that it was your main body and that you had used some forbidden secret art, and he was momentarily careless, which was why he let you escape. You should already be seriously injured. Next, you will surely not escape his 5 Fingers Mountain. Immediately after, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor directly went to the human race's sealed land. He wanted to wash away his previous shame with an invincible posture. Others also followed closely behind. Although they didn't understand why Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor broke the agreement and attacked you. But this did not prevent them from watching a good show. 788. Beat up Tien Fu, Rakshasa Ghost Mother. Catch them all in one fell swoop, they are all sinners. However, as soon as he reached the border, his path was blocked by your 9 Daoshan. Looking at the 9 Daoshan and your Tao body from earlier, both emanating similarly powerful chi, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor swallowed a mouthful of saliva, feeling as though he had been overly confident. So your Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor. One of the Tao body, swinging a fist as large as a sandbag, attacked him first. I've endured you for too long. The second Tao body also attacked. Kill him. The third, fourth, fifth, all 9 Daoshan ganged up on him. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor struggled to cope and was soon beaten to the point of spitting blood. When the others arrived, they only saw Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor, this perfect other shore, disheveled and nearly unrecognizable from the beating. The 10,000 races powerhouses collectively turned to stone, their faces as white as paper. That was a perfect other shore. He occupied all timelines. He was the top expert in the Transcendent Saint realm. Yet he was brutally beaten by a junior who hadn't even broken through to the other shore realm. If they hadn't witnessed it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor was on the verge of collapsing. If the Celestial Tin Holy Court were to make a comeback, how would the masters of these forces on the field cope? One must know that they were all other race. And Evil Emperor's attitude towards the other race was almost to exterminate them. As the various powerhouses thought of this, their scalps tingled, and their hearts were filled with dread. Just as Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor was about to give up, the devilish chi in the world suddenly surged, and sounds of infant cries echoed. Then, a blood moon saber embedded with 9 resentful blood crystals tore through space and slashed towards your 9 Daoshan. You immediately recognized it as the demon race perfect other shore Rakshasa Ghoul Mother's Hongmeng Supreme Treasure, the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel. A perfect other shore with a Hongmeng Supreme Treasure was completely different from a perfect other shore like Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor who did not possess one. Your true body, hidden in the shadows, dared not be careless and directly summoned the Human Emperor Palace. The Golden Human Emperor Palace emitted an ancient, eternal aura, blocking the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel. Is this the legendary Evil Emperor Hall? It doesn't look evil at all. A woman with spiral white bone horns on her head and twisted demonic patterns all over her body emerged from the depths of space. She reached out to recall the Blood Moon Wheel, covering her lips as she chuckled. This person was none other than Rakshasa Ghoul Mother. You said that was natural, that the Evil Emperor Hall was merely slandered by others, and what you held was the ancient supreme treasure, the Human Emperor Palace. Your tone became sharper as you said, today is my grudge with Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor. Does the demon race also wish to interfere? Rakshasa Ghoul Mother chuckled charmingly, this concubine also doesn't wish to interfere, but alas, I was entrusted by someone. You snorted coldly, then it depends on your ability. As soon as you finished speaking, the 9 Daoshan merged into one, an extremely terrifying aura permeated the air, causing Rakshasa Ghoul Mother's expression to change repeatedly. The 9 in 1 Tao body, holding up the Human Emperor Palace, smashed towards Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor. It clearly conveyed the meaning of not giving up until he was dead. Rakshasa Ghoul Mother gritted her silver teeth, unleashing the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel, and together with Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor, they jointly withstood this attack. Afterward, she took Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor and disappeared into layers of space. After Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor left, the powerhouses on the field trembled in fear and turned to flee. These were hundreds of other shore powerhouses, the Ancient One and Most Ancient One combined also numbered over 50. Blood Soul Saber Emperor, Kunpeng Saint Ancestor, Fire Spirit Old Ancestor, these old acquaintances, were also among them. But facing you, they didn't even have the courage to make a move. Even two perfect other shore were beaten and fled by you. What could they use to fight you? But how could you let them leave? Many of them were the ones who had slandered you as evil emperor in the past. This group of people, who couldn't distinguish right from wrong and disregarded facts, all deserved to die. You first used ultimate balance to suppress their strength and reduce their escape speed. When the 9-in-1 Tao body unleashed ultimate balance, even the strength of the Most Ancient One could be drastically reduced, making them only comparable to an Ancient One. And an Ancient One could only be comparable to an ordinary other shore. As for ordinary other shore, it was already good if they could possess the strength of a half-step other shore. They were already no match for you, and their strength was further reduced so much. Most of them became lambs to the slaughter, completely unable to escape. And you still had means like material solidification and energy assimilation. This group of gloating powerhouses who came to watch the show were basically annihilated. Only 2 or 3 Most Ancient One, who were extremely far away and ran very fast, managed to escape by chance. Even after escaping, they dared not stay in the Transcendent Saint realm, but frantically fled to other dimensions. You threw all the hundreds of captured other shore into the human Emperor Palace. You told the 5-clawed golden dragon to refine them freely, as there would be many fierce battles ahead in the upcoming Sacred Emperor contention. The 5-clawed golden dragon exclaimed that its master was wise. After advancing to a Hongmeng Supreme Treasure, its refining speed had become extremely fast. Even without sacrifice, it could refine 1 ordinary other shore per day. It could refine 1 Ancient One in 10 days. It could refine 1 Most Ancient One in a month. As for perfect other shore, even before it was shattered, it had never refined one, and still didn't know what it tasted like. And now, the human Emperor Palace's power was incredibly close to what it was before it was shattered. As long as it refined another 300 or so other race ordinary other shore, it was believed that it could reach its pre-shattered state. And these other race other shore would be enough for it to refine for a long time. You didn't forget to instruct the 5-clawed golden dragon to prioritize refining old acquaintances, like Kunpeng Saint Ancestor, Fire Spirit Old Ancestor, and Blood Soul Saber Emperor. Afterward, you and your Tao body directly charged into the 8 Wilderness Divine Capital. Due to the Sacred Emperor ceremony, many powerhouses from various saint state had come to the 8 Wilderness Divine Capital. Since Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor couldn't stand up, then the Sacred Emperor of this Transcendent Saint realm should rightfully be you. His subordinates and minions naturally had to be cleared out in advance. The hundreds of millions of other race in the Divine Capital didn't even know what was happening before the world spun, and they were captured by you into the human Emperor Palace. This included some in the other shore realm as well, who had no power to resist whatsoever. After completely sweeping the 8 Wilderness Divine Capital, your Tao body split into 9 paths, capturing other race experts everywhere. Especially the 8 great royal races of the 8 Wilderness Divine Court, they received special attention, nearly facing extinction. Under the domineering methods of your Tao body, the Transcendent Saint realm was filled with terror, and all voices were silenced. The higher the expert, the more they worried about their own situation. Because they were the priority targets of your Tao body. The Transcendent Saint realm was already shrouded in a bloody mist. Heavenly Tao had brought down much bloody rain in various saint state. Countless old people wept and wailed, knowing he was evil emperor, why didn't you eliminate him earlier? Sinners, you are all sinners. 789. The 4 perfect shores, the ancestor of humanity. The 3rd descent of God, the true and false Fu Huang. While the 9 great avatars were plundering the rich to aid the poor and gathering experts from other races, your main body began to transfer all the remaining human race from the Transcendent Saint realm to the Immortal realm. Although you defeated Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor and repelled Rakshasa Ghoul Mother, you felt that a great storm was approaching. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's disposition changed drastically after visiting Heavenly Mystery Divine Mountain. He tore up the agreement and attacked you. Now that you have displayed such divine might, Heaven's Mystery Holy Land will certainly have Wushu actions. You must be fully prepared. As expected, the Tao body's actions lasted less than 2 days. The world underwent drastic changes. 4 perfect other shores appeared in the Transcendent Saint realm. Besides the old acquaintances, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor and Rakshasa Ghoul Mother. The other 2 perfect other shores were Chaos Celestial Venerables from the Chaos tribe, and surprisingly, Human Emperor Fu Huang, the ancestor of humanities. The 4 perfect other shores immediately attacked your Tao body upon appearing. Except for Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor, who was a newly advanced perfect other shore, the other 3 all possessed their own Hongmeng supreme treasures. In reality, even with all your methods, you could barely contend against 2 perfect other shores who possessed Hongmeng supreme treasures. With 4 of them attacking, you were bound to be defeated. You directly recalled your Tao body and returned to the immortal realm. The 4 perfect other shores arrived outside the immortal realm, blocking the entrance. It seemed they would not rest until they dealt with you. You had no choice but to brace yourself and let your 9 great avatars merge to face them. After the 9 great avatars merged into one, they transformed into a gigantic inverse death divine spirit and appeared in the void realm outside the immortal realm. The inverse death divine spirit looked at the white-robed old man with a high crown among the 4 and coldly snorted, "Fu Huang, you are the ancestor of humanities. Are you also going to be an enemy of the human race?" Fu Huang smiled faintly, "I am not an enemy of the human race, rather, I am rectifying the source and eliminating you, this tumor, for the human race. Only by removing you as soon as possible will the human race have hope of survival, otherwise, they will be destroyed along with you." The inverse death divine spirit shook his head. This Fu Huang created writing for the human race and spread his teachings. You thought he was someone of great righteousness, but you didn't expect him to be someone who couldn't distinguish right from wrong. Since becoming the human emperor, how much has he contributed to the human race? Without him, the human race would have long been enslaved under the iron hooves of the 8 Desolations divine dynasty. Or lived a life worse than death, without dignity. They might even be raised as food by the other race. Not to mention, you also implemented policies such as universal cultivation, fair distribution, and encouraging childbirth to strengthen the human race. Among the human emperors throughout history, how many could compare to these achievements? Unexpectedly, Fu Huang turned a blind eye to all of this. He even slandered you as a tumor of the human race. You knew this must be due to jealousy. Fu Huang's achievements were all due to benefiting from the era. Aside from a small contribution early on, he made no further contributions to the human race. Especially the philosophical doctrine of preserving the heavenly Tao and destroying human relations, that he spread, which has become rigid over generations, turning into shackles for ordinary people and hindering the development of the human race. And you fought against the current, step by step, to reach where you are today. He was jealous that you were more outstanding than him, which is why he deliberately slandered you. It's one thing for the other race to slander you. But for Fu Huang, a human race elder, to also slander you, it inevitably made you feel disheartened. Perhaps these old fellows should have been buried in the dust of history long ago. Chaos Celestial Venerables, one of the 4, said, "Junior, you are not our match. Surrender quickly, and we can spare the human race from disaster out of respect for Fu Huang." The inverse death divine spirit sneered, "Defeat me first, then talk." Subsequently, the merged inverse death divine spirit fought 1 against 4. The boundless void realm intensely boiled. The aura of the perfect other shore surged and radiated across the 8 desolations, creating an overwhelming momentum. However, no matter how strong the inverse death divine spirit was, under the combined efforts of the 4, he only lasted for 20-odd moves before his body began to disintegrate. Nevertheless, the 4 were still greatly impressed and admired the inverse death divine spirit. They could see various exquisite great Tao powers within the inverse death divine spirit, especially the yin and yang qi, which were utilized to the extreme. Even if you were to die today, you would leave a significant mark in history. In future eras, everyone will know the talent and brilliance of you, evil Emperor Liu Changsheng. However, you had no intention of dying. Just as the inverse death divine spirit was about to completely vanish, you directly used your most powerful trump card, Divine Descent Art. You had previously summoned Supreme Taoist Lord and Taiyi Taoist. You wondered who it would be this time. Evil Emperor, your death is nigh. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor grinned hideously, a sense of revenge fulfilled on his face, and he, along with Rakshasa Ghoul Mother, Chaos Celestial Venerables, and Fu Huang, charged at you. Just then, a stream of light shot out from the depths of time and space. It arrived at this time and space, revealing the figure of a majestic man with a human head and snake body, holding a Bagua diagram. The Bagua diagram rotated slightly, returning the attacks of the few, causing all four to reveal expressions of horror. What horrified them was not the power of the Bagua diagram, but the identity of the man before them. He was Fu Huang, the leader of the Bagua god race from the previous great calamity. A ruthless individual who dared to challenge heaven's mystery holy land. However, wasn't he supposed to have completely perished at the hands of heaven's mystery holy land long ago? Why could he still appear at this time node? The time and space of the Transcendent Saint realm were not comparable to those of the lower realm. Once one died in the Transcendent Saint realm, even their past self would perish. It was impossible to cross time and arrive in the present. Gongsun Ce, who was secretly observing this battle, was also greatly astonished. Fu Huang was a powerhouse infinitely close to quasi-transcendence. The Evil Emperor Hall was the Hongmeng supreme treasure he found. And he left behind that famous prophecy, the master of the Evil Emperor Hall will destroy heaven's mystery holy land. However, according to the records of heaven's mystery holy land, Fu Huang indeed perished. His remaining remnant soul was sealed within the heavenly mystery tower. The Bagua diagram before them was indeed real. But this person before them could not be him. If it wasn't him, then who could it be? One must know that Fu Huang had openly declared himself an enemy of heaven's mystery holy land. Who would dare impersonate an enemy of heaven's mystery holy land? Isn't this like an old man hanging himself, tired of living? Gongsun Ce, who claimed to have no oversights, was utterly bewildered at this moment. Perhaps only the Saint Lord of Heaven's mystery and a few quasi-transcendent Grand Elders knew the origin of this person. As expected of the one who will destroy heaven's mystery holy land in the future, his talent is indeed remarkable. On the other side, Fu Huang looked at you with an appreciative gaze, uttering astonishing words. 790. Fu Huang's strength, 2 choices. Inheritance in advance. Chaos catastrophe. Senior, you mustn't speak carelessly. I've never thought of destroying heaven's mystery holy land. You predicted the evil emperor before. You've mistaken me for him. You jumped in surprise, waving your hands wildly. You invited him to help, not to make things harder for you. If those words reached heaven's mystery holy land, wouldn't they try to kill you? However, judging by the expressions of Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor and the others, they didn't seem to take that remark to heart. It's almost impossible for a transcendent force like heaven's mystery holy land to be annihilated by external powers. No matter how powerful Fu Huang is, he hasn't achieved transcendence yet. He himself suffered at the hands of heaven's mystery holy land. How could he predict the survival or demise of heaven's mystery holy land? Seeing that the few of them didn't believe it at all, you felt much more relieved. However, there's one more thing. How did Fu Huang also mistake you for the evil emperor? He is a powerful expert renowned for his Tao of deduction. It's impossible for him to make such a low-level mistake. Could your human emperor palace truly be the evil emperor hall? You frowned deeply. The thought that the human emperor palace was not the evil emperor hall wavered for the first time. But your conviction quickly solidified again. Heaven's mystery holy land is professional enough, right? Didn't they still mistake you for the evil emperor? Only you yourself know best whether you are the evil emperor. Even if the human emperor palace truly is the evil emperor hall, it doesn't prove that you are the evil emperor. Because your great virtue and benevolence have long since made it turn over a new leaf. In someone else's hands, it might be the evil emperor hall, creating boundless slaughter. But in your hands, it can only be the human emperor palace. Don't believe it. Let others call the 5-clawed golden dragon the evil emperor hall. Would it dare to answer? Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor stepped forward at this moment and said, Senior, this person is our sworn enemy. We hope Senior will not prevent us from eliminating him. This kid, the Emperor, will protect him. Fu Huang snorted coldly, waving his Bagua diagram. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor and the other four were directly thrown back to the Transcendent Saint realm by an irresistible force. When they opened their eyes again, they were already on the ruins of the 8 Wilderness Divine Capital. Seeing these ruins, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's temper flared. He had only been recovering for 2 days. The transcendent saint realm had been ravaged beyond recognition by evil Emperor Lu Changsheng. Even his 8 wilderness divine courts mid to high-tier forces were almost completely wiped out, existing in name only. But now, Fu Huang suddenly appeared. The few of them were clearly no match. It seems they can only seek help from heaven's mystery holy land. After all, the reason they could team up against you was because celestial mystery successor Gongsun Ce was pulling strings. Aside from this matter with Fu Huang, Gongsun Ce couldn't possibly remain uninvolved. After casually sending away Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor and the others, Fu Huang's figure slowly dissipated, as if he was about to leave. You quickly grabbed him and said, "Senior, if you leave, those 4 will surely come back for another attack. Do you have any permanent solutions?" Fu Huang chuckled wryly. "There's no permanent solution, but I can give you 2 choices. One is for me to leave the Bagua diagram to protect the immortal realm for 100 years, and the other is to guide you to obtain the legacy of the Supreme Taoist Lord in advance." You said with some difficulty, "Junior wants both." Fu Huang shook his head. "You can only choose one." You gritted your teeth and said, "I choose 2. A mere 100 years is insignificant compared to the legacy of the Supreme Taoist Lord. The Supreme Taoist Lords, reducing and seeking emptiness, means this legacy is not just some magic treasures and cultivation techniques. It includes his historical traces, his karma with the myriad realms, his cultivation, and so on. Everything will be given to you. In short, once you inherit all of this, the Supreme Taoist Lord will essentially become your past self. You will replace everything of the Supreme Taoist Lord. Of course, the true Supreme Taoist Lord will also benefit greatly, becoming an existence without cause and effect. Such an existence is at least a quasi-transcendent. As for whether he can achieve transcendence, you don't know. Seeing you make your choice, Fu Huang told you to enter the Bagua diagram. He said he would let you fully experience how the 2 reduction targets in other eras inherited karma. You were a bit speechless. You thought he would directly provide you with the method. You didn't expect him to make you comprehend it yourself. Fu Huang shook his head and said, "To quickly inherit karma involves too much. For example, the great power's grand scheme, personality, the abilities of the reduction target itself, and the environment it's in are all variables. So, you can only rely on yourself to comprehend from others' experiences. He cannot give you a fixed path." The first one was a prodigy from the calamity of destruction before Fu Huang's era. The calamity of destruction in that era was caused by the invasion of the Chaos Tribe, abbreviated as the Chaos Calamity. The Chaos Tribe is a race that lives in the Chaos River. The Chaos River is also known as the Long River of Chaos. It is composed of the primal chaos energy before the evolution of the 5 great innates, transcending both space and time, and pervading all space and time. The time node occupied by the other shore is within the Chaos River, not the River of Time in the lower realm. The Chaos Tribe, formed by the accidental collision of primal chaos energy in the Chaos River, are mostly deranged and deformed, and are called the cancer of the world. When their power permeates reality, many beings refer to them as unspeakable things. The Chaos Calamity is a catastrophe caused when the number of Chaos Tribe reaches a limit and they are forcibly flushed into the real world by the Chaos River. And that prodigy was the son of luck of that era, named Xu Mu. He only took a mere 100,000 years to break through to the other shore, his talent being peerless. Then, he was chosen as a chess piece by the future founder of the Heart Demon Realm, Formless Devil Emperor, to bear his own karma. Xu Mu, this son of luck, initially didn't know that he had become a chess piece for the Formless Devil Emperor. After he break through to the other shore, his cultivation speed was even faster than before the breakthrough. He attributed all of this solely to his own hard work. You experienced everything of Xu Mu from a first-person perspective. When you saw this, your heart jolted. How is this guy's situation somewhat similar to yours? You break through extremely fast in the lower realm. Could it be that you had already become a chess piece for some great power? Especially the origin of the simulator, which you still don't know. You wonder if it's a grand scheme by some transcendent. If it truly is a transcendent scheme, then you should not be able to achieve transcendence in the simulation. To use a golden finger to create another transcendent out of thin air. This should not be something a transcendent can do. If you can achieve transcendence in the simulation and bring your cultivation back to reality, the underlying implications would be quite terrifying. No, impossible. You feel that the upper limit of the simulator should be quasi-transcendent. As for existences beyond transcendence, they are already beyond your imagination. 791. The cause and effect of nothingness, the calculation of the Emperor Fu. The Holy Lord of Heaven's secret, the mysterious divine machine. This kind of thing is still too far for you. It's estimated that only when you are about to achieve transcendent, or truly achieve transcendent, will you know the origin of the simulator. You continue to observe Shu Mu. Under the karma transfer of the borderless demon emperor, after Shu Mu broke through to the other shore realm, he still advanced by leaps and bounds, reaching the Ancient One level in only 60,000 years. Due to the influence of the borderless demon emperor, his cultivation technique and personality increasingly leaned towards the demonic path, which made him realize that something was wrong. Later, by a stroke of opportunity, he met a god race perfect other shore and asked him to help him break free from the control of the borderless demon emperor. And this god race powerhouse was none other than Fu Huang. Fu Huang had just broken through to perfect other shore not long ago at this time and was no match for someone like the borderless demon emperor, who was almost at the quasi-transcendent realm. But Fu Huang was someone who enjoyed challenging himself. The more difficult it was, the more interested he became. In your words, this Fu Huang might have masochistic tendencies. After some research, Fu Huang gave Shu Mu a suggestion: stay away from everything related to the borderless demon emperor. Because as long as he came into contact with anything related to the borderless demon emperor, he would be constantly undertaking karma. In addition, Fu Huang also provided detailed methods for Shu Mu to get rid of related things. With Fu Huang's strong assistance, the karma Shu Mu was undertaking began to decrease. This displeased the borderless demon emperor, who personally acted and injured Fu Huang, forcing him to hide and recuperate. Shu Mu once again fell under the control of the borderless demon emperor. Shu Mu also knew he couldn't break free and began to resign himself to his fate. At this time, due to a sneak attack by the Chaos tribe, Shu Mu's sect was annihilated, and countless relatives and disciples died tragically before him. Powerful hatred prompted Shu Mu to voluntarily undertake the karma of the borderless demon emperor. 50,000 years passed like this, and he broke through to the most ancient one. This was even faster than when he broke through from an ordinary other shore to an ancient one. After that, he spent another 80,000 years to break through to perfect other shore. This means he only took less than 200,000 years to go from an ordinary other shore to a perfect other shore. Such speed, without the karma of the borderless demon emperor, would have been difficult to achieve even if he were a child of luck. Your consciousness also fully experienced these hundreds of thousands of years. You watched Shu Mu break through from an ordinary other shore to a perfect other shore step by step. You haven't broken through to the other shore realm yet. This will undoubtedly be of great benefit to your future cultivation path. Even if you want to create your own immortal realm in the future, this can provide you with great reference. Of course, the most important thing is Shu Mu's experience of undertaking karma over these hundreds of thousands of years. After summarizing, you found that the more core the karma, the more significant the improvement in strength after undertaking it. How to discover these core karma, Shu Mu's experience also gave you great inspiration. In addition, you also learned from Shu Mu how to communicate with the powerful being who made you undertake karma. Shu Mu communicated with the borderless demon emperor several times when he encountered danger, asking him to resolve it for him. After breaking through to perfect other shore, Shu Mu was only one step away from fully undertaking the karma of the borderless demon emperor. As long as this step is completed, the borderless demon emperor will be able to enter the quasi-transcendent realm. But this crucial step was destroyed by the long-hidden Fu Huang, using the heavenly Tao of the Saint Realm. Shu Mu himself was the child of luck of this era. The borderless demon emperor also saw this point, which is why he chose him to undertake karma. But at the most critical moment, Fu Huang used the primordial supreme treasure he had just obtained, the 8 trigrams diagram, to transfer Shu Mu into the heavenly Tao origin land. Here, the heavenly Tao consciousness was extremely sensitive to everything on Shu Mu. The child of luck is chosen by the heavenly Tao to bear a great mission that will affect the outcome and direction of the great tribulation of destruction. Therefore, the heavenly Tao consciousness directly and forcibly washed away the karma related to the borderless demon emperor on Shu Mu, causing the borderless demon emperor's plan to fail. This made your eyes light up. Shu Mu enjoyed the benefits without undertaking the karma of the borderless demon emperor. You should know that the borderless demon emperor had enemies everywhere in that era, and there were several enemies at the same realm as him. Shu Mu undertaking his karma would naturally inherit these grievances. Under Fu Huang's series of operations, Shu Mu enjoyed all the benefits and had no drawbacks. But thinking about it, the heavenly Tao almost tried to kill in every tribulation during the 3 disasters, 3 tribulations, and 3 difficulties. Finally, it shamelessly issued the heavenly Tao hunt order. You want to use the heavenly Tao to wash away karma, which is probably unrealistic. If other powerful forces could be introduced, it might be worth a try. The scene stopped here and disappeared. You don't know what happened to Shumu later. But he is already a perfect other shore, so he probably won't fall so easily. Perhaps, you will meet him again in the future. Afterward, you began to observe the experience of the second, reduction, target from the perspective of a first-hand observer. Those who can become reduction targets are all extraordinary people. You are very curious about the identity of this second person. You appeared on a towering mountain that reached into the clouds. This mountain sparkled with metallic luster, and dazzling divine light soared into the sky, illuminating the morning glow, which was incredibly brilliant. You looked around and found that this entire mountain was actually composed of Tao gold. You were greatly surprised. Tao gold is an important material for forging primordial spirit treasure. In the transcendent saint realm, it is also extremely precious, and once it appears, it will be frantically snatched by other shore powerhouses. Even with your Tai Shi Dao minor achievement, it would take you half a day to produce only a fist-sized piece of Tao gold. This entire mountain, towering into the clouds, how extravagant is this? And the power behind this is probably far beyond your imagination. In front of your vision, there was a majestic middle-aged man whose eyes were deep, seemingly containing myriad stars. He turned around and said to you, Shenji, your mission this time is to provoke a war between gods and demons and help the demon race win. Shenji. As soon as you heard this name, you immediately thought of one person. Zan Shenji. He is the current Holy Lord of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land, and also Gongsun Si's master. Could it be that the second reduction target Fu Huang wanted you to experience was him? The experiences and memories of such a person are absolutely top secret and impossible to leak. Even if they were leaked, there would definitely be a quasi-transcendent acting to erase them. Isn't Fu Huang the sworn enemy of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land? How did he get it? You felt it was incredible. Could it be that Fu Huang has already broken through to quasi-transcendent? Otherwise, you can't imagine where he got such great power. 792. The layout of gods and demons is passed down from generation to generation. The core cause and effect, the induction of the Supreme. Yes, Master. The man named Shenji bowed to the middle-aged man and turned to leave. As you followed his subsequent experiences, you finally confirmed his identity, Zan Shenji. And the place he was staying was the headquarters of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land. The exact location of the headquarters of a transcendent power like Heaven's Mystery Holy Land had always been a mystery. Could you finally glimpse its secrets today? However, to your disappointment, he used a teleportation array to go to the transcendent saint realm. You still didn't know the exact location of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land. But, following Zan Shenji's perspective, you toured Heaven's Mystery Holy Land and learned a lot about its interior, which was not a loss. Upon arriving at the transcendent saint realm, Zan Shenji began to strategize, using the influence of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land to incite conflict between the god race and the demon race. The god race and the demon race, as the two most powerful races of this era, were already in opposition and full of contradictions. It was only due to suppression from the higher-ups that large-scale battles had not occurred. Once Zan Shenji incited them, the tensions immediately flared up. The friction between the two sides also increased. Until 10 god race godchildren were devoured by the howling heaven demon race, with only one barely escaping. The conflict between the two races completely escalated. Both sides began large-scale battles. The god race's strength originally had an advantage, with even 5 perfect other shores, while the demon race only had 4. However, due to Zan Shenji, the celestial mystery successor, constantly taking sides and designing to severely injure 2 perfect other shores of the god race, he helped an ancient ones of the demon race to break through to perfect other shore. With this ebb and flow, the demon race began to suppress the god race. It was also at this time that Fu Huang of the 8 trigrams god race began to step forward, openly opposing Heaven's Mystery Holy Land. Although he dared not kill Zan Shenji, the celestial mystery successor, he ordered him to be forbidden from entering god race territory. Otherwise, he would be expelled every time he was seen. In this way, the conflict between the god race and Heaven's Mystery Holy Land was brought into the open. The other strong individuals of the god race did not understand why they had to offend Heaven's Mystery Holy Land so severely. But Fu Huang had already seen that this generation's successor of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land was specifically targeting the god race. Making concessions to him would only encourage him to push his luck. Zhang Shenji's methods were extraordinary. Instead of being disheartened by this, he used his identity to divide and disintegrate the god race internally, causing Fu Huang to be isolated and ostracized. Seeing Zhang Shenji's various operations and methods, you couldn't help but sigh that Gongsun Ce, his disciple, was still far too inferior compared to him. If the celestial mystery successor of this era had been Zhang Shenji instead of Gongsun Ce, you might have found yourself in a very difficult situation. Of course, from a third-party perspective, Gongsun Ce had already done very well. It's just that he didn't anticipate your cultivation breakthrough to be so fast. This disrupted many of his plans. If it were anyone else, even Xu Mu, the son of luck, many of Gongsun Ce's schemes would have been fatal. Isolated and disheartened, Fu Huang led the 8 trigrams god race away from the god and demon battlefield. It was probably a feeling of, I'm tired, let it all be destroyed. Once he left, the pressure on the god race increased significantly. The god race repeatedly asked him to return, but he refused. However, he was not idle. Instead, he had been constantly deducing how to destroy Heaven's Mystery Holy Land. Tens of thousands of years passed again. It wasn't until the late stages of the Great God-Demon War that he uttered the famous prophecy, Heaven's Mystery Holy Land will perish at the hands of the evil Emperor Hall's master. Daring to prophesy the demise of a transcendent power undoubtedly violated the taboos of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land. You know what happened later. The evil Emperor Hall was destroyed, and Fu Huang was severely injured by a master from Heaven's Mystery Holy Land and went into hiding. Less than 20,000 years after Fu Huang went into hiding, the god race was completely destroyed by the demon race, and the entire transcendent saint realm was shattered in the final decisive battle. After completing his mission, Zhang Shenji returned to Heaven's Mystery Holy Land. The scene abruptly ended here. Zhang Shenji's various methods were truly eye-opening. The god race and demon race were ancient powers that had survived countless cycles of destruction. Unexpectedly, they were played within his palm. Throughout the entire process, he was like a master butcher dissecting an ox, his various strategies flowing smoothly and perfectly timed. But what frustrated you a little wasn't this about bearing the karma of a mighty figure? Why didn't you see Zhang Shenji bearing anyone's karma throughout the entire process? Could it be, you thought of the opening scene? A terrifying conjecture emerged in your mind. The so-called generational legacy of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land was for the celestial mystery successor to inherit the karma of the Heaven's Mystery Holy Master. The grievances between the god race and demon race were related to Zhang Shenji's master's karma. And the evil Emperor Hall was related to Zhang Shenji. Calculating this way, Gongsun Ce's mission was most likely to destroy the evil Emperor Hall and kill the evil Emperor. However, he seemed to have mistaken you for the evil Emperor, causing you to suffer unwarranted disaster. Perhaps, if you explained it to him, he would let you go. However, Heaven's Mystery Holy Land was accustomed to acting domineeringly. Even if you explained it to him, he probably wouldn't listen. It still comes down to a real showdown. The second karma inheritance was not as obvious as the first. Heaven's Mystery Holy Land was too powerful, almost no one could stop this karma legacy relationship. You felt that the reason Fu Huang put it in the second part was that his true intention was not what it seemed. He was reminding you how to deal with Heaven's Mystery Holy Land. After the experience, Fu Huang took back the 8 trigrams diagram and said to you expectantly, "All right, the rest is up to your fortune." After speaking, his figure dissipated like green smoke, vanishing without a trace. He just ran off like that. Rushing to reincarnate, perhaps. You muttered to yourself. To quickly inherit the karma of the Supreme Taoist Lord, you must find the core karma related to him, the more core, the better. You had originally wanted to ask Fu Huang, but you didn't expect him to not give you a chance to speak. Where to find the core karma now became a difficult problem. Perhaps you could only use Xu Emu's secret art to directly communicate with the Supreme Taoist Lord behind him and ask him for a hint. This secret art was used by Xu Mu to communicate with the borderless demon emperor. You didn't know if it would be useful for the Supreme Taoist Lord. You decided to try it first. You returned to the immortal realm, sat cross-legged in the void realm, and began to communicate with the Supreme Taoist Lord. Soon, you sensed a massive ball of energy. This energy was ubiquitous, spread throughout all time and space, all worlds. It could even be sensed within the immortal realm. Is this the Supreme Taoist Lord? You were puzzled. Everywhere, at all times. This power far exceeded perfect other shore. Isn't the Supreme Taoist Lord seeking emptiness by subtraction? This indicates that he has not reached the quasi-transcendent realm. Is this really him? 793. Huge stone gate, mysterious ruins. Rebellion, alliance, is transcendence a trap? You have never seen the Supreme Taoist Lord. Only when the Yin-Yang Corpse Sovereign attacked you for the second time did the Supreme Taoist Lord make a move, but you did not see him in person. Instead, it was a celebratory cloud. For now, let's assume these ubiquitous mysterious energies are the Supreme Taoist Lord. In any case, you are just trying it out. You began to communicate with this energy. But these energies did not react. Did you recognize it incorrectly, or was your method wrong? When you circulated the Supreme Forgotten Love record, these energies finally reacted. The mysterious energies around you continuously surged towards you. You quickly asked, Taoist Lord, how do I inherit your core karma? No one answered, but the mysterious energies continued to surge towards you. The space-time around you began to distort. Subsequently, space continuously jumped. You did not panic, allowing this energy to carry you to an unknown place. You attacked with full force, at least comparable to a perfect other shore, so you still had this much composure. However, these energies were not taking you to past space-time. Instead, they were taking you to other places at the current time node. What kind of place would it be? You were also very curious in your heart. Each time space jumped, it would travel an extremely vast distance. At this moment, you were already an unknown distance from the immortal realm. But this energy was still taking you further away. After about another hour, you arrived in front of a stone gate. This stone gate was massive and ancient, like a gate of heaven and earth. In front of it, you were like an ant. Countless mysterious energies surged, opening a crack in the stone gate. You entered the stone gate, and the scene behind it suddenly appeared before your eyes. You saw that this place was a ruin, with broken space fragments everywhere, as if it had experienced a terrifying battle. What shocked you was that every space fragment carried the aura of a transcender. Why were you so certain? Because these auras were identical to the auras of the 8 transcenders you had encountered earlier in the mysterious space. All of them were ethereal, ineffable, and transcendent of everything. And due to the presence of this aura, both time and space here were in a state of stagnation. These space fragments seemed to be eternally frozen at the very moment of their destruction. Fortunately, you were enveloped by mysterious energy, allowing you to move. Otherwise, as soon as you stepped in, you would be trapped here, unable to move. Other things within your body, such as the human Emperor Palace, were in a frozen state without the protection of mysterious energy. You observed carefully. Could this place have once been a battlefield for transcenders? Do transcenders also fight among themselves? According to the common perception, transcenders are the ultimate goal of cultivation, having transcended everything. Whatever they desire, they can create with a single thought. Moreover, for so many years, people have continuously become transcenders, yet no transcenders have been seen descending upon the transcendent saint realm. Therefore, everyone believed that transcenders had achieved perfection and would not engage in any disputes. Now, it seems that is not the case. However, the 8 transcenders you encountered before were quite amiable. They once said that the world-destroying master and the epic master were innate transcenders, possibly holding the ultimate secrets of the world. If they had any opponents, it would probably be these 2 great dominators. However, you did not sense the aura of the 2 dominators here. The mysterious energy brought you here and then became still. What you wanted was the core karma of the Supreme Taoist Lord. Could it be located here? You began to explore the many space fragments. Within each space fragment, there were broken worlds of varying sizes. But inside, there were only withered bones and desolation, without any trace of life. After exploring more than half of the space fragments, you were astonished to discover that if these space fragments were reassembled, the volume of the worlds within them would probably be no less than that of the Transcendent Saint Realm. But the Transcendent Saint Realm was created by the combined efforts of transcenders. It is the most powerful world in the myriad realms. What exactly was this world behind the stone gate? Why could it have such a volume? You also discovered traces of the original inhabitants, cultivation from the withered bones inside. Below the Great Tao Realm, things were bizarre and varied. Above the Great Tao Realm, the system was almost identical to that of the Transcendent Saint Realm. Especially many races within were surprisingly similar to those in the Transcendent Saint realm. It appeared as if this place was a destroyed Transcendent Saint realm. Moreover, many worlds within the space fragments had inscriptions such as, "Fight, fight, fight," and, "Never be slaves." These characters were extremely ancient, known as ominous texts, because civilizations that used them generally suffered disasters and their civilizations were cut off. Therefore, it had vanished in this era. Among the alien other shores you had captured previously, some of the ancient ones whose divine souls you had searched had encountered these characters, which was why you could recognize them. Now it seemed that these ominous characters were once widely used in the world behind the gate. As you passed through one space fragment after another, the more you saw, the more alarmed you became. Here, 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. When you had explored 90% of the space fragments, you finally entered an extremely special one. This space fragment contained only a continuous architectural complex. These architectural complexes were all built using top-tier materials no less than Tao gold. It could be seen that this was once an important place. At the very front of the architectural complex, you also found a plaque, broken into 2 pieces, among a pile of ruins. The words, Ni Meng, were written on it. There was also a character in the middle, but it had been shattered by sword chi and was unclear. You didn't know what kind of Ni alliance it was. You had already traversed 90% of the fragments, but you still hadn't discovered what the Supreme Taoist Lord's karma truly was. Could it be related to this Ni alliance? You walked into this architectural complex, and soon your expression changed. Reaching out, you grabbed a jade slip that flew up from underground, taking it into your hand. You had traversed so many space fragments, yet you had never encountered anything similar, so you wondered what might be inside. You showed a hint of curiosity and extended your divine soul power into it. You heard only a man's furious roar from within, "Don't transcend. Transcending is a trap." This voice seemed to be roaring at the sky, yet it also contained intense sorrow and helplessness. After listening, your brows furrowed tightly. Transcending is the ultimate goal of countless cultivators. It signifies great liberation, great freedom, and great ease. Yet the mysterious man in the jade slip said, "Don't transcend, transcending is a trap." What exactly was going on? 794. 5 Great Minor Success, Void Erosion. Transcendent Aura, Lu Changsheng's death date. You recall the ascension from the lower realm. The ascension back then was a trap, as the ascension channel connected to the ancient devil great world, turning you into food for the demon race powerhouses. So what will transcendent be? Will you be deep fried again? You think that's unlikely. Even if transcendent is a trap, bad things will happen. However, it's probably not as simple as becoming food. Besides, you're not sure if this is just a madman's wail or if it's truly a serious matter. However, you are a cautious person. Let's just assume transcendent has problems for now. Anyway, you haven't even broken through to the other shore yet. Transcendent is still very far away. You'll ponder these matters after breaking through to the other shore. But what worries you is, could the Supreme Taoist Lord's core karma be related to this? If so, you cannot bear this karma. After circling the building complex, you found nothing else. So, you collected these ruined materials. These are all top-tier materials, they cannot be wasted. Afterward, you continued to travel to the next spatial fragment. You are here to seek the supreme karma, you don't believe that searching everywhere will yield no results. However, next, you indeed had no other gains. You explored all the remaining 10% of the fragments but found no special places. Could that anti-something alliance truly be the Supreme Taoist Lord's karma? You feel a headache coming on. That karma is related to transcendent. You just want to improve your strength a bit, there's no need for this, right? Currently, apart from a pile of precious materials you've collected and that jade slip, you've gained nothing else. You are unwilling to leave just like that. Anyway, time is still here. You plan to cultivate here for a while. The mysterious energy in your body is slowly dissipating, and you don't know how long it can last. But you'll cultivate for as long as you can. You took out the Tezu Divine Tablet and began to comprehend. Now, only the Tezu Dao and the Great Simplicity Way have not reached minor achievement. The Great Simplicity Way is the head of the 5 Great Innates. Currently, there is only the Tai Divine Dipper, without a Divine Tablet. In comparison, the Tezu Dao is definitely easier to comprehend. 8 years passed in a flash. Your Tezu Dao finally reached minor achievement. The Tezu Tao is the origin of spiritual life, related to life, soul, and reincarnation. After your minor achievement, you gained a new ability, precisely related to reincarnation. Its name is Reincarnation Seal, which can control life and death reincarnation, reverse karma, and cause enemies to fall into eternal reincarnation from which they can never transcend. This move is a great killer against anything below the perfect other shore. Even a perfect other shore, as long as they don't have a Hongmeng Supreme Treasure on them, you can seal them for 1 or 2 breaths. All in all, it's quite formidable. Next is the Great Simplicity Way. This thing is the most difficult. To achieve minor achievement, it will probably take more time than the combined time it took to comprehend the previous 4 great innates. Hopefully, the mysterious energy can last a bit longer in this space. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Until 700 years passed, and just as the mysterious energy in your body was about to run out, you finally opened your eyes, and a faint transcendent aura actually emanated from your body. After 700 years, you finally achieved minor achievement in the Great Simplicity Way. You gained a new ability, Void Erosion. You can release the power of Great Simplicity, turning all existence into nothingness. You previously created matter and energy out of thin air. This is the most basic application of the Great Simplicity Way. But now, you are turning matter and energy into nothingness. It is equivalent to moving from creation to destruction, entering the stage of turning existence into nothingness. Given enough time, you can even erode a Hongmeng Supreme Treasure. As for how long, well, probably tens of thousands to millions of years. But this is still quite extraordinary. Back then, to destroy the evil Emperor Hall, a Hongmeng Supreme Treasure, Heaven's Mystery Holy Land sent several perfect other shore powerhouses to grind it down for hundreds of millions of years, but they still couldn't completely eradicate it, allowing the core fragments of the evil Emperor Hall to escape. In addition to the void erosion ability, the circulating power of the 5 great innates within your body has grown by an immeasurable amount compared to before. Now, facing the combined forces of Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor, the Grand Tutor, Rakshasa Ghost Mother, and Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord, it will definitely not be you who loses. Besides the increase in combat power, a wisp of transcendent aura also appeared on your body. This appeared only after all 5 great innates reached minor achievement. But what exactly is emitting the transcendent aura? Is it the Great Simplicity Way, or the circulating power formed by the 5 great innates, or something else? Currently, you are not clear. But no matter what it is definitely related to the 5 great innates. According to the information you gathered in the Transcendent Saint realm, there are 2 ways to achieve Transcendent. The first is when one's strength is so great that it can suppress all tangible and intangible things in the myriad realms, transcendent power will automatically form, thereby achieving transcendent over everything. The second is to refine a transcendent holy object after reaching quasi-transcendent. A transcendent holy object is something that possesses transcendent power. It is bizarre and varied. It could be a Tao, a concept, or a specific object. But undoubtedly, it is extremely rare. Even a single great tribulation of destruction might not produce a transcendent holy object. You don't know much about transcendent holy objects. But you are clear, the 5 great innates have the hope of transcendent. This means that among the 5 great innates, there is most likely a transcendent holy object. If your guess is correct, what was born on you is precisely such a thing. If this gets out, it will be enough to drive countless powerhouses mad. Due to the exhaustion of the mysterious power, you didn't have much time to investigate and had to leave here first. After leaving the stone gate, you circled the surroundings, noted the location, and then headed towards the immortal realm. Previously, the mysterious power only took an hour to bring you here. It probably took you a full day to return to the immortal realm. This is not because you are too weak. On the contrary, your strength has greatly increased. If the Great Simplicity and Tezu had not reached minor achievement, you would probably have spent several months. As soon as you returned to the immortal realm, Gongsun Ce, who was monitoring the area, discovered you. He's back, Gongsun Ce said to Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor, the Grand Tutor, Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord, and others. The meaning was clear, he wanted them to continue their attack. Rakshasa Ghost Mother showed a troubled expression. That kid is very evil, he can summon powerhouses from history. If he uses that secret art again. Gongsun Ce smiled faintly, took out a compass shimmering with a hazy glow, and said, "Don't worry, I have used the Holy Land's Great Evolution Fate Compass to sever all his connections with other times and spaces." he cannot summon anyone. The Great Evolution Fate Compass is one of Heaven's Mystery Holy Land's most famous Hongmeng Supreme treasures. Its reputation was well known to everyone. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor laughed triumphantly. Since that's the case, today will be Lu Chengsheng's death day. 795. Defeated the top 4 and got another treasure. Frustrated Gongsun captured the Heavenly Talisman alive. The 4 quickly charged back into the immortal realm. Unable to summon powerhouses from past time and space again, they wanted to see what you would use to resist this time. As soon as you returned to the immortal realm, you felt the aura of the 4, and your brow furrowed. These guys are really persistent. Lu Chengsheng, come out and die. Before you even moved, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's arrogant voice came from outside. The 9 great avatars appeared and merged into your main body. You then activated the inverse death divine spirit state, and with a flash of your figure, you appeared outside the immortal realm. The master said to you, you and I are both of the human race. As long as you hand over the evil Emperor Hall, I can give you a quick death. The evil Emperor is deeply demonized and certainly won't listen. Let's just go straight for him. The Rakshasa Ghost Mother let out a charming laugh and was the first to attack, using the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel to strike at you. Just then, a nearly transparent, white jade-colored palm stretched out from the void realm and grabbed the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel. The Rakshasa Ghost Mother was greatly astonished. You actually grabbed a Hongmeng Supreme treasure with your bare hands. Is she crazy or are you crazy? Then, she tried to activate the Supreme Treasure's power, hoping to cut off your palm. But she found that she had lost her connection to the Blood Moon Wheel. This was a seal you formed using the power of the 5 great cycles. Even a Hongmeng Supreme treasure could be sealed for a short while. The Rakshasa Ghost Mother shouted, this guy is a bit strange. Don't just stand there, hurry up and attack. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor, the Master, and Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord, hearing this, jointly attacked you. Among them, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor used his innate secret art, the Heavenly Talisman Heartbreaking Incantation. The Master and Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord used their respective Hongmeng Supreme treasures, the Celestial Tao Ruler and the Primal Chaos Lightning Hammer. You held the Blood Moon Wheel in one hand and took out the Human Emperor Palace with the other, blocking the Celestial Tao Ruler and the Primal Chaos Lightning Hammer. Only Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's Heavenly Talisman Heartbreaking Incantation attacked you. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor revealed a hint of smugness. Although his strength was the weakest, his secret art was not to be underestimated. However, when the Heavenly Talisman Heartbreaking Incantation attacked you, it was like attacking nothingness, passing directly through your body. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor raised his head in astonishment, only to meet a pair of mocking eyes. Your great simplicity way had reached minor achievement, allowing your physical body to instantly switch between solid and ethereal. Aside from Hongmeng Supreme treasures and established perfect other shores, newly promoted perfect other shores like Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor couldn't harm you at all. Your eyes quickly turned into a vortex, firmly sucking in Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor's mind, pulling him into reincarnation and sealing him. This was the reincarnation seal. Enough to seal Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor for a few breaths. Afterward, you focused all your efforts on the other 3 perfect other shores. With the Rakshasa Ghost Mother losing her Hongmeng Supreme treasure, her threat to you was greatly reduced. And among the Master and Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord, most of your energy was focused on the Master. This person, as the human race's progenitor of culture, didn't help you, the Human Emperor, which was one thing. Even if he stood by, you could only say he was being prudent. However, he chose to help Heaven's Mystery Holy Land and the alien races to deal with you, the Human Emperor. He used to be the progenitor of culture, but now he is an out-and-out traitor to humanity. Naturally, you wouldn't let him off easily. Outside the Immortal Realm's Void Realm, 4 rays of light intersected and separated at times. Outside the Immortal Realm, the 18 layers of defensive formation you had set up were shattering layer by layer in the aftermath of the battle, with only 3 to 5 layers remaining. The surviving perfect other shore powerhouses of the Transcendent Saint Realm were utterly horrified to see this scene. Only 1 day had passed, and you were actually able to fight 4 at once and even gain the upper hand. Those were 4 perfect other shores. The top powerhouses of the Transcendent Saint Realm. Your increase in strength is too terrifying. One can only say, as expected of a monster born in response to a calamity. Are you destined to destroy the Transcendent Saint Realm? Gongsun Ce, hidden in the shadows, was almost grinding his back teeth to dust. No way, again. Every time he targeted you, your strength would suddenly increase by a significant margin. Looking at your posture, could it be that you inherited the full strength of the Supreme Taoist Lord? But the heavenly evolution fate plate showed that you only inherited a small part of the Supreme Taoist Lord's karma. How did your strength increase so much? Did you use a cheat? No, you should just be using some secret art. As long as time passes, you will surely reveal your true form. The 4 perfect other shores were painstakingly found by him. Constantine refused to believe that he couldn't take you down this time. However, just as he held on to this sliver of hope, a black energy was released from your body. Those who came into contact with this energy all screamed, their bodies largely eroded. This was precisely the ability you gained after your great simplicity way reached minor achievement, void erosion. Although it was currently difficult to erode Hongmeng's supreme treasures, it could cause great damage to their perfect other shore physical bodies. And you took advantage of this opportunity to grab the celestial Tao ruler. Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord saw this and fled without looking back. They had fought for so long without being able to do anything to you, and instead, they had successively lost 2 Hongmeng supreme treasures. If he continued to fight, he feared that the Primal Chaos Lightning Hammer in his hand would also be lost. He was just repaying a favor to Heaven's mystery holy land. Why risk his life? The Rakshasa Ghost Mother and the Master were unwilling, but Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord had already left, making their chances of victory even slimmer, so they could only retreat. As for the Hongmeng Supreme Treasures, they would definitely demand an explanation from Constantine. As the 3 left one after another, when Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor woke up, he saw only himself, standing alone. This isn't right. Where are the others? You spoke indifferently, no need to look. While you were trapped in the seal, they already ran away. Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor was on the verge of tears. If they ran away, they should at least have taken his physical body with them. What's the meaning of leaving him here alone? Isn't this just digging his grave? Seeing you slowly walk towards him, Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor said in horror, "Wait, sir. Surrender a hammer." You slapped Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor to the ground, then sealed him and threw him into the human Emperor Palace. The 5-clawed golden dragon was incredibly excited. This was a huge sum. Fortunately, it didn't go solo. Following its master was the only way to get meat. It had seen you enter a stone door before, and after coming out, your strength had greatly increased. It wondered what that stone door was. But it probably was another opportunity for you. You had encountered such opportunities countless times. The 5-clawed golden dragon increasingly felt that you were the one with the most hope of transcendence in this era. Following you was definitely the right choice. At that time, it could also experience the saying, when one attains the Tao, even his chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. 796. Massive Sacrifice, Peak State. Conquer the Holy Realm, the glory of the human race. You looked at the 2 Hongmeng supreme treasures in your hand, the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel and the Celestial Tao Ruler, and smiled. Hongmeng supreme treasures are all conceptual weapons. In terms of preciousness, among the myriad realms, only Transcendent Saint Realm items can surpass them. If you refine them, it will greatly increase your power. Of course, refining a Hongmeng supreme treasure that already has an owner. Even for a perfect other shore, it's not an easy feat. But you possess the power of the 5 great innates. Especially your void erosion, which can quickly destroy the imprints left by previous owners. When that happens, refining them will be much easier. You left the task of refining to your 2 Tao bodies. As for your main body, there was a more important matter. That was to find the source of the transcendent aura within your body. You had previously speculated that this was likely the aura of a Transcendent Saint Realm item formed after the 5 great innates reached minor achievement. But you did not know what this Transcendent Saint Realm item truly was. This concerned your path to transcendence, so you could not be careless. Your main body returned to the Immortal Realm's Imperial Palace and began to explore. At the same time, your other Tao bodies were not idle. One Tao body held a grand sacrifice for the human Emperor Palace throughout the entire Immortal Realm, helping the human Emperor Palace quickly refine the 4 other shores. The Immortal Realm is currently inhabited by 99% of the human race from the Transcendent Saint Realm. And due to your encouragement of childbirth, the population is still rapidly increasing, which is quite astonishing. Holding a sacrifice throughout the entire Immortal Realm had a remarkably significant effect. The human emperor palace's speed in refining the foreign other shores surged by over 100-fold. It could refine dozens of ordinary other shores in a single day. Moreover, in this sacrifice, many human race other shores actively participated. You defeated 4 foreign other shore powerhouses by yourself, demonstrating unparalleled combat prowess. No matter how difficult it was to subdue other shore powerhouses, some were still swayed by your power. The human race now has over 50 ordinary other shores, over a dozen ancient ones, and several most ancient ones. Among them, 1/3 of the ordinary other shores and several ancient ones have truly begun to submit to you. The power of the myriad people provided by one ordinary other shore can be said to be comparable to 1,000th of the immortal realm's population. The power of the myriad people provided by an ancient one is 10 times greater. The submission of these other shores significantly increased your power of the myriad people. If you were to fight 4 opponents again, you could easily defeat the scholars and others. Under the nationwide sacrifice, the human emperor palace only took a short half-month to devour hundreds more foreign other shores, restoring itself to its peak state. The human emperor palace, having recovered to its peak state, was emitting plumes of black smoke. Your main body, having emerged from seclusion, was somewhat puzzled. What's going on? Did it emit smoke from devouring too many foreign other shores? The 5-clawed golden dragon was startled and quickly used its power to restore it to its original state. You came over to ask what had just happened. After all, the world says the human emperor palace is the evil emperor hall. This sudden black smoke made you a little scared. The 5-clawed golden dragon quickly explained, the black smoke earlier was karma generated from refining foreign other shores. Previously, there was no way to completely eradicate it, but now that it has recovered to its peak state, it has finally expelled all of it. You nodded, realizing you had been overthinking. Afterward, you stepped into the human emperor palace, which had returned to its full glory. Its layout was largely similar to before. However, there were about 100 spirits of the human race summoned by the spirit hall, darting around like madmen, which somewhat affected the aesthetic. You didn't know what was going on. The spirits summoned by the spirit hall were all irrational, humanoid madmen. But you did not disdain them, and were relatively tolerant of them, seeing as they possessed other shore strength and were ancestors of the human race. You just didn't dare to let them out freely, fearing they might scare other members of the human race. You sat on the human emperor's chair and found that the power of the myriad people had doubled again. This was due to a further increase in refining efficiency, coupled with the power of the myriad people brought to you by the other shores. Your power of the myriad people increased by nearly 2-fold. It was quite considerable. Of course, a 2-fold increase in the power of the myriad people does not mean your strength also increased by 2-fold. Because when you unleash your full power now, you are far stronger than an ordinary perfect other shore. The power of the myriad people could at most increase your strength by 50 to 60%. But that was still very good. Afterward, you asked the 5-clawed golden dragon if the human emperor palace could be further enhanced. The 5-clawed golden dragon said, of course it can. The human emperor palace has only reached its strongest state of the past, but it has not reached its own limit. Currently, the human emperor palace still holds dozens of foreign ordinary other shores, 50 to 60 foreign ancient ones, over 20 foreign most ancient ones, and the heavenly talisman old ancestor, a perfect other shore. If they were all refined, the human emperor palace should be able to become one of the strongest Hongmeng supreme treasures. How strong are the strongest Hongmeng supreme treasures? According to ancient records, they can fully rival quasi-transcendent beings. But those existences are mostly held by transcendent forces. Now that you have the opportunity to forge one yourself, you naturally wouldn't give up. You plan to continue the sacrifices. However, the immortal realm's reserve of foreign races had been depleted. So you ordered the immortal realm army to continuously enter the transcendent saint realm through teleportation arrays, capturing foreign races for sacrifice. You defeated 4 perfect other shores by yourself. You wanted to see who in the current transcendent world would dare to stop you. The human race of the immortal realm descended upon more than a dozen different locations in the transcendent saint realm via teleportation arrays, frantically capturing all foreign races in their vicinity. This filled countless foreign races with terror. Some foreign races even despaired, saying, the evil emperor has risen to power, who in this world can stop him? Of course, any foreign race that dared to say such things would be captured by the human race's fanatical believers in the human emperor and executed with the cruelest punishments. The human emperor's karma in restoring the human race is evident to all. Whereas the evil emperor, according to prophecy, is merely a madman who knows only destruction and slaughter. These foreign races, by slandering the human emperor as the evil emperor, were clearly harboring malicious intentions, plotting evil, and slandering the revered human emperor. Human race warriors naturally had to severely punish them. Most of the foreign other shores in the transcendent saint realm were captured and refined by you. A small portion had already hidden away, not daring to show themselves at all. In such a situation, the human race's war against the foreign races was basically a one-sided slaughter. Many members of the human race finally felt a sense of vindication. Especially those human race members who had long lived in foreign territories. Due to the human race's rapid reproduction rate and the fast cultivation speed of low-level cultivators, they were once treated as livestock by many foreign races, living a truly humiliating existence. Although the Azure Abyss ancient dynasty was human race territory, it only guarded a small plot of land and was not strong in the face of foreign races. It even groveled to many foreign powers, idly watching as foreign races ran rampant within its borders, bullying the human race. Now, under the leadership of the great human emperor, the human race has finally overcome its hardships and can, in turn, lord over the foreign races. 797. With the help of the divine machine, the demons are resurrected. 7 perfect and mysterious relics. On the other side, Gongsun Ce of Heavenly Mystery Divine Mountain was also anxious when he saw this scene. Because ever since that fake Emperor Fu took you to a mysterious place, a layer of mist has enveloped you, and he can't deduce anything about you using the Heavenly Mystery Fate Plate. You should know that the Heavenly Mystery Fate Plate is a top-tier Grand Mist Supreme Treasure. It can even deduce some matters of quasi-transcendence. Why did it not work for you? He didn't know what the fake Emperor Fu had done to you. But the more this was the case, the more anxious he became. Especially now, you have started to slaughter alien races wantonly and hold sacrifices. Although he didn't know why you did this, it was mostly to enhance your own power or the power of the evil Emperor Hall. The longer it dragged on, the stronger your strength would become, it couldn't be delayed any longer. Now he still had one trump card that he hadn't used. That was the sleeping demon race powerhouses. During the last calamity of gods and demons, many demon race other shore powerhouses were severely injured and fell into slumber. Among them were 5 perfect other shore powerhouses and more than 70 most ancient ones. After endless years of slumber, these demon race powerhouses had mostly recovered. As long as he could get them to act, Gongsun Ce had hope of turning the tide. Otherwise, he might become the first Heaven's Mystery successor in the history of Heavenly Mystery Holy Land who couldn't complete the sect's mission. In that case, he would not be able to fully inherit the karma of his master Zan Shenji to break through to perfect other shore, and naturally, he would not be able to become the next Heavenly Mystery Holy Lord. This result was unacceptable to Gongsun Ce. He was the most outstanding person among his generation's disciple, how could he become a laughingstock of the Holy Land? However, how to persuade these demon race powerhouses to act was a difficult problem. The demon race was not easy to deal with. Although the Heavenly Mystery Holy Land helped the demon race defeat the god race in the last calamity. But that was a favor the demon race owed his master Zan Shenji, not his. Moreover, the Rakshasa ghost mother of the demon race had already acted twice on his master's behalf and even lost a Grand Mist Supreme Treasure, that was more than enough. As Gongsun Ce was distressed, a jade talisman flew through the air. Zan Shenji's voice came from within. Sir, take this jade talisman to the demon race, and they will surely act. Gongsun Ce was overjoyed. Zan Shenji's actions actually violated the rules, he was showing favoritism towards him. Gongsun Ce used to despise such behavior. He believed that only incompetent villains would rely on breaking rules to get what they wanted. But when it came to himself, he realized how truly good it felt. Gongsun Ce took the jade talisman and immediately went to the underground demon race. The Rakshasa ghost mother gave him no good look when she saw him. Previously, she almost perished trying to obtain the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel. Now, because she helped the Heavenly Mystery Holy Land, her Blood Moon Wheel was snatched away, and Gongsun Ce had no solution for it. It would be strange if she gave him a good look. Gongsun Ce knew he was in the wrong and spoke very politely. After a long while, the Rakshasa ghost mother finally took him to the sleeping ground. Half a day later, Gongsun Ce walked out of the sleeping ground with a beaming face and left the place. Subsequently, one powerful and ancient chi after another began to revive. The sleeping demon race powerhouses began to awaken. The Rakshasa ghost mother was puzzled, not knowing what constantine had said to the old ancient ones in the sleeping ground. But the bargaining chip he offered must have been very high. Only then would those old ancient ones be willing to get involved in this muddy water. In less than 10 days, a large number of demon race began to surge onto the surface. They shouted the slogan, "Eliminate the evil emperor, the world will be peaceful," which stunned people. Is this the slogan your demon race should be shouting? However, compared to the human race, who were capturing alien races everywhere for sacrifice, the demon race was now more acceptable to the alien races. The two began to join forces to resist the advance of the human race army. The demon race is also a type of alien race. They can also be sacrificed to the human emperor palace. As long as the demon race dared to come, the human race dared to capture them. However, the overall strength of the demon race was far stronger than the current alien races in the transcendent saint realm. This still significantly reduced the human race's capture efficiency. However, your Tao body did not act, because you sensed that several perfect other short chi had locked onto you. Once you made a move, you would be met with their earth-shattering blow. There were a total of 7 such chi. In addition to the 3 old acquaintances from before, there were 4 new, unfamiliar chi. They should all have been invited by Heaven's mystery successor Gongsun Ce. To be honest, you weren't very afraid. Under the continuous growth of the power of all beings, your single Tao body, when fully unleashed, possessed the strength of a perfect other shore. But you weren't in a hurry, you would play along with them first. You wouldn't act unless you did, and once you did, you would eliminate all these threats. Lest these guys buzz around you like mosquitoes all day long. If you acted now, you could at most capture 1 or 2 people, which would easily alert the enemy. The most crucial thing was that if you defeated these people, who knew what method the heavenly mystery Holy Land would use to deal with you next time. Therefore, you temporarily decided not to act. Another 7 days passed. Your main body finally discovered the source of the transcendence chi. It was a trace of peculiar energy occasionally produced when the innate 5 tai circulated. The grade of this energy was extremely high, you had never seen it before. After thousands of experiments and studies, you finally confirmed that it should be the transcendence sacred object you were looking for. What exactly is this thing? You were not clear, but you found that it could assimilate all existence, whether it was time, space, energy, Tao, divine soul, as long as it could come into contact with existence, it would all be assimilated into itself. Of course, this assimilation only occurred under your guidance. Otherwise, it would be in a superposition of existence and non-existence. Only when you simultaneously touched it with your minor achievement 5 Tai Tao could you discover it. Other than that, your eye of illusory breaking or various other abilities found it difficult to observe it. Currently, you have summarized its 2 characteristics. It is difficult to observe and it assimilates everything. To figure out the upper limit of the mysterious power's assimilation, you even used the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel, a Grand Mist Supreme Treasure, to test it. It could even assimilate it. It was just that the assimilation speed was much slower. It can even assimilate a Grand Mist Supreme Treasure. It truly lives up to its name as a transcendent sacred object. You pondered that over the years, Tai Yi Taoist seemed to have been guiding you to cultivate the innate 5 Tai. Could his ultimate goal be to make you cultivate this mysterious power? But what exactly is this power? 798. The original power is too evil. The human emperor palace transforms and creates its own realm. The transcendence sacred object is extremely rare, and anyway, few people know about it, so you can give it a name yourself. You heard that before the innate 5 Tai, there was the original epic, which was undetectable and extremely mysterious. That epic existed before all being and nothingness. You decide to call this power the original power. Just after you named it, a thunderous sound simultaneously echoed throughout the myriad realms. It shook the heavens and earth, as if destroying everything. The ancient ones in the transcendent saint realm at this time, or the ancient ones in other times who were observing this epic, all opened their eyes, revealing immense greed. This thunderclap did not arise out of nowhere, rather, a transcendent was reminding everyone that in this epic, a transcendent sacred object had appeared. Upon hearing this thunderclap, you cursed inwardly, which scoundrel is so unethical? The item is in your hands, and you originally wanted to develop quietly. This reminder makes your situation much more difficult. If others were to know that the item is with you, wouldn't you instantly become the target of all? Truly too unethical. You, with your great virtue and kindness, have done so many good deeds, couldn't they have hidden it for you for a while? Anyway, you've noted this down. You have already found the Transcendent's sacred object. Next is to ascend to the other shore. Of course, it's impossible for you to break through the other shore realm of the mainstream system. But you definitely want to create a realm based on the Immortal Tao system. You already have several directions for the self-created realm. However, the appearance of the original power made you change all your previous ideas. Since there's a Transcendent's sacred object, who would still use ordinary breakthrough methods? You decide that the next realm will focus on cultivating the original power. You name this realm the original realm. But how to cultivate it specifically, and how to integrate it with the Immortal Tao, you still need to ponder carefully. You began to perfect the cultivation system. Meanwhile, on the other side, the demon race, due to the appearance of the Transcendent's sacred object, went completely mad, sending out all their elites to fiercely attack the human race army, seemingly wanting a quick decisive battle. And those few demon race powerhouses, along with the Master and the Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord, and other perfect other shores, all gathered around Gongsun Ce. Gongsun Ce was using the Heavenly Mystery Fate Plate to deduce clues about the Transcendent's sacred object. After a long time, he shook his head, indicating he found nothing. These perfect other shores all showed disappointment. This generation's Heaven's Mystery successor is far inferior to the previous generation. The previous generation's Zan Shenji could at least find some clues. But this Gongsun Ce knows nothing. Why is he still a Heaven's Mystery successor? He might as well go back to the sect and just idle around waiting to die. Several other shore powerhouses couldn't help but complain inwardly. However, Gongsun Ce added, ever since Emperor Fu appeared, I haven't been able to deduce any information about Lu Changsheng. Perhaps the Transcendent's sacred object is on Lu Changsheng. This indeed has a considerable possibility. Lu Changsheng possessed invincible strength before breaking through to the other shore. It was truly too bizarre. If he has a Transcendent's sacred object on him, it would be a good explanation. After all, a Transcendent's sacred object cannot be measured by common sense. Of course, it's also possible that Emperor Fu concealed his Heaven's mystery. No matter what, everyone now has another reason to act against you. But the difficulty lies in the fact that no one is confident in killing you. They don't even have the confidence to capture you, let alone snatching something from you. At this moment, Gongsun Ce looked towards the Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord. Before the calamity of gods and demons, there was the Chaos Calamity. The strength of the Chaos Clan was even above that of the demon race. Gongsun Ce said that if the Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord could find more powerhouses from his clan, they would be fully confident in dealing with you. The Primal Chaos Heavenly Lord pondered for a moment, saying he was willing to go back and try. 3 months. Under numerous sacrifices, the human Emperor Palace refined all the other foreign race other shores, except for the Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor. The Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor kept begging for mercy, but the 5-clawed golden dragon ignored him. It was now only one step away from the limit of a Hongmeng Supreme Treasure. How could it let the Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor off? 2 more months, and with a scream, the Heavenly Talisman Old Ancestor turned to dust. This great enemy, who once gave you a headache, died in the evil, human Emperor Palace. The human Emperor Palace also entered a transformation once again. This time, it's a transformation to the limit of a supreme treasure. Once completed, it will be comparable to the quasi-transcendent level. This was achieved by devouring over 1,000 ordinary other shores from foreign races, nearly 100 ancient ones, dozens of most ancient ones, 1 perfect other shore, and countless sacrificed mid to high-level cultivators from foreign races. It can be said that to bring the human Emperor Palace to this point, you almost wreaked havoc on all the foreign races in the Transcendent Saint realm. You naturally attached great importance to the transformation of the human Emperor Palace. To prevent the Heavenly Mystery Holy Land from interfering, you dispatched 3 Tao body to guard it day and night. Time flew by, and 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Under the tenfold comprehension ability amplification, you finally perfected the general framework of the original realm. You plan to transform everything within your body into original power. Currently, you have 4 aspects: cultivation, physical body, divine soul, and mind. These are all formed acquired. They belong to acquired objects. Although world-extinguishing cultivation and epic cultivation originated from the world-extinguishing dominator and the epic master, these two transcendent. They are merely the Tao manifestation of transcendent in the material world, not their inherent power. For all acquired objects, the quasi-transcendent level is the limit. After that, one must transcend all acquired, transcend the tangible and intangible, to achieve transcendence and attain great freedom and ease. And original power exists before the innate five-tie. Minor achievement of the innate five-tie is merely its entry ticket. Original power is the most ancient, ineffable existence known to you so far. Its very essence represents transcendence. If all these acquired objects are transformed into their original form, then you will be at original realm perfection. How strong you will be then is difficult for you to estimate. This path is more powerful than any path you had previously envisioned. You will certainly steadfastly continue down this path. As for how to connect original power with the immortal Tao, this is probably a path unique to you. Because the threshold is too high, only with minor achievement of the innate five-tie can one access original power. Other immortal cultivators simply cannot walk this path. You will have to design a new path for them then. As for the connection between the immortal Tao and the original realm, original power can assimilate all tangible and intangible things. You plan to convert all the Nian Li thought power absorbed by the immortal Tao principles into original cultivation. As for deeper connections, integrating the Tao of origin with the immortal Tao, that is not something that can be accomplished in a short time. The immediate priority is to allow yourself to break through to the original realm as quickly as possible. 799. The Chaos Clan descends and besieges the immortal realm. The ultimate treasure, the death of Gongsun Ce. The perfect other shore, while its threat to you is limited. There are still numerous transcendent forces and quasi-transcendent beings. Especially the heavenly mystery Holy Land. They are watching you covetously. Other forces will also continuously search for the transcendent sacred object, and eventually they will find it on you. You still need to protect yourself now. Only when transcendent forces cannot easily shake you will you have enough time to complete the immortal Tao theoretical system. As for cultivation, physical body, divine soul, and mind, which one will be transformed into original power first? You naturally start with cultivation, which is the easiest. Firstly, the risk is minimal, and secondly, your experience is the most abundant. As for the transformation of the physical body, divine soul, and mind, your current methods are not yet complete. But as long as you transform your cultivation into original power, you will officially step into the original realm. The cultivation within your body is extremely vast. It's not something that can be fully transformed in a short while. As you were about to continue your secluded cultivation, the void realm of the entire immortal realm began to rot, and countless tentacles stretched out. Having Shu Emu's experiences, you naturally recognized what these things were. These are the characteristics of the Chaos Clan's descent. And looking at the scale, it's not a small group of experts, but a large-scale descent. Your several Tao bodies immediately took action to wipe out these tentacles. However, they were endless and difficult to eradicate completely. Soon, outside the immortal realm, more than a dozen powerful figures appeared. In addition to the previous 7 perfect other shore, 5 more perfect other shore from the Chaos Clan appeared. And there were many Chaos Clan experts corroding the immortal realm. The Chaos Clan and demon race were the victors of the Chaos Calamity and the calamity of gods and demons. They actually joined forces with the powerhouses of this era to target you. It seems they won't stop until they put you to death. Gongsun Ce stepped forward and laughed. Brother Liu, don't resist, you have no chance. Quote. Is that so? Quote. You smiled strangely. The next moment, countless human race cultivators in the transcendent saint realm sat cross-legged, their minds connecting with a large formation in the void realm, instantly clearing out all the Chaos Clan's power and transforming the immortal realm into an indestructible golden fortress. This was the pristine reincarnation defense formation you specifically arranged during this time. It uses your Tao body as the formation eye, utilizing the power of all sentient life in the immortal realm for defense. Although resisting more than a dozen perfect other shore consumes a lot, divided among billions of human race, it's nothing. At least for the next 180 years, most people's lives are safe. And your human emperor palace is undergoing transformation. Once the transformation is complete, it's hard to say whose doomsday it will be. Brother Liu's wisdom is truly astonishing. What a pity, what a pity. Gongsun Ce saw this scene and praised it, but still shook his head, clearly not optimistic about you. The 12 perfect others sure, except for the Master and Rakshasa Ghost Mother, the other 10 directly took out their respective Hongmeng Supreme Treasures and began to fiercely attack the pristine reincarnation formation. Days passed by. 5 years passed in a blink of an eye. The human race beings in the immortal realm looked pale. Some with low cultivation, or even no cultivation, were already tottering. HMPH, let's see how long you can last. Quote, Rakshasa Ghost Mother shivered with cold. She hadn't forgotten that her Hongmeng Supreme Treasure, the Rakshasa Blood Moon Wheel, was still in your hands. She not only wanted to get it back, but also to kill all your kin. Soon, quote, Gongsun Ce, standing beside you, smiled as if victory was within his grasp. As long as you were dealt with, his mission would be complete. These were 12 perfect others sure. With such a powerful lineup, even if you truly had a transcendent sacred object, you would die without regrets. However, on this very day, the human Emperor Palace finally completed its transformation. Invisible fluctuations spread out. The myriad realms immediately showed terrifying anomalies such as suns falling to the ground, demons dancing chaotically, a sea of blood surging, and all beings sinking into oblivion. Gongsun Ce and the perfect others sure changed their expressions drastically upon seeing this scene. These were the anomalies that only occurred when an ultimate Hongmeng Supreme Treasure was born. And looking at these anomalies, they were all related to evil demons. Could it be that the evil Emperor Hall has become an ultimate Hongmeng Supreme Treasure? Even the heavenly mystery Fate Plate, being so powerful, was only close to an ultimate Hongmeng Supreme Treasure. Gongsun Ce thought the possibility of it being the evil Emperor Hall was very small. But, the next moment, a golden illusory grand hall emerged, actually larger than the immortal realm. One must know that the immortal realm, under your continuous expansion, already had the area of 60 to 70 Tianqi holy states. To be able to manifest such a colossal size was simply incredible. This was precisely the human Emperor Palace after its advancement. It really is the evil Emperor Hall. Gongsun Ce and the others were terrified, retreating repeatedly. But it was already too late. The advanced human Emperor Palace surged with vast divine light, carrying the terrifying power to suppress a realm and create heaven and earth, directly suppressing the 12 perfect others sure and all the foreign experts. Boom! Terrifying ripples spread out. The 12 perfect others sure and perfect others sure powerhouses like Gongsun Ce struggled to resist. 10 Hongmeng Supreme Treasures, like 10 great suns, emitted dazzling light. But in front of the human Emperor Palace, they were still like fireflies. After only resisting for a moment, their light dimmed. Quote, the next instant, a large number of foreign powerhouses exploded, their bodies shattering. Their flesh and blood were scattered throughout the boundless void realm. Any single piece of flesh and blood could evolve into tens of millions of worlds. And the flesh and blood of those Chaos Clan powerhouses could even evolve into various terrifying worlds. Only Gongsun Ce and the 12 perfect others sure remained alive on the field. Gongsun Ce was merely the most ancient one, he survived by relying on the heavenly mystery Fate Plate. The 12 perfect others sure, on the other hand, were making their final struggles based on their own strength. Brother Liu, I am a heaven's mystery successor. Gongsun Ce begged you for mercy. This was undoubtedly a humiliating scene. But if he didn't do this, he might truly perish by your hand. Heaven's mystery successor, you being a transcendence biological son is useless. Quote. You snorted coldly, focusing the human Emperor Palace's power slightly on Gongsun Ce, and he immediately exploded into a bloody mist, leaving no trace behind. This guy not only slandered you but also constantly tried to put you to death. If you didn't kill him, would you be true to your conscience? The others, seeing you kill Gongsun Ce, were struck dumb with fear. This was the first time they had heard of a heaven's mystery successor perishing. And dying right before their eyes. This was a colossal disaster. The master sighed, Evil Emperor, stop now, it will be too late if you wait any longer. The evil path is ultimately not the righteous path. Quote. 800. The mysterious god appears, the human race era. Wipe out the master, the heroic spirit teaches. Hearing this, you smiled. Facing death, he still dared to slander you. You laughed and said, since ancient times, evil cannot triumph over good. Today, I win and you lose. Isn't it obvious who is righteous and who is evil? Furthermore, the demon race and the Chaos Clan are notorious races. Master, you associate with them and yet come to slander me as the evil emperor. I think you're truly muddled. After speaking, you no longer wasted words with him. You directly suppressed Master, along with all the other perfect other shores, into the human emperor palace. Although Master was of the human race, he colluded with the demon race and the Chaos clan to harm you, the human emperor, and all living beings in the immortal realm. You certainly wouldn't keep him alive. But you wanted him to undergo human race judgment and be reviled by the populace before being executed. After suppressing all the perfect other shores, outside the immortal realm, there was once again a clear and bright sky. Just then, chaos chi surged, and a giant face appeared outside the immortal realm. You were incredibly familiar with this face. Because you had once worn this face and personally observed the calamity of gods and demons for hundreds of thousands of years. He was precisely the contemporary Holy Lord of the Heavenly Mystery Holy Land, Zan Shenji. The giant face formed by Chaos Chi said, "Junior, quickly return the Heavenly Mystery Fate Plate, otherwise." Before he could finish speaking, you directly struck, shattering the giant face. You understood Zan Shenji very well. If he could find a way to immediately reclaim the Heavenly Mystery Fate Plate, he would absolutely not waste a single word with you. His Zudong Xianshen active appearance precisely proved that he couldn't do anything to you in a short time. You had already killed Gongsun Ce, the contemporary Heaven's Mystery successor. Gongsun Ce was not only his personal disciple but also the vessel for him to transfer karma. The two of you could be said to be completely irreconcilable. Therefore, you could no longer listen to Zan Shenji's nonsense. This fellow was too insidious. A few words might carry some karma power, unknowingly pushing you into a trap. Afterward, you returned to the immortal realm. This great victory over the foreign race powerhouses filled all the human race in the immortal realm with joy and excitement. They had resisted the great enemy alongside you and could truly feel that pressure. Their sense of participation was extremely strong. After the victory, their joy was even greater. After this crisis, the cohesion of the human race and their reverence for you all greatly increased. Invisibly, this greatly increased your power of the populace. You also celebrated with the people, opening up vast resources and ordering a month of grand celebrations. A month later, Master underwent a public trial in the immortal realm. His complicity in harming his own kind was witnessed by many human race cultivators. His belief as a pioneer of humanities had completely collapsed. He was destined to be reviled for 10,000 years. After the public trial, you used the human emperor palace and spent half a day to grind Master to dust. In the final stage, you even used original power. The essence of original power is extremely high, transcending the resurrection rules of the other shore. Once annihilated by original power, there is no chance of resurrection. The Celestial Destiny Book Venerable, whom you had suppressed, was originally Master's disciple and felt quite saddened by this. After his sadness, the Celestial Destiny Book Venerable chose to submit to you. You were somewhat surprised. You had just killed his master, so why would he still submit? You asked him for a reason. The Celestial Destiny Book Venerable said that he had read the books of sages since childhood, and his only wish was to make the human race great again, restoring the glory of being overlords before the great calamity of chaos. He had seen the hope of human race resurgence in you, which was why he had spared you several times. Now that you were invincible, and the human race dominated this era, his ideal had been perfectly realized. Although Master was his master, he had attacked the human race, which clearly went against his beliefs. He said that Master's death was not unjust. What he had been saddened by just now was merely the past master-disciple relationship. He did not feel regret over Master's death. Subsequently, you sensed the power of the populace from the Celestial Destiny Book Venerable. It seemed this fellow was truly submitting, not feigning compliance. The human race needed such discerning talents. As for the other human race powerhouses you had suppressed, you gathered them and gave them one last chance, asking if they would submit. Many looked at each other, and finally, all chose to submit. However, more than half of them did not generate the power of the populace. You directly threw those human race powerhouses who had not generated the power of the populace into the spirit hall, letting those crazed human race spirits educate them thoroughly. If the human race spirits still couldn't persuade them, then you could only resort to killing them. You hadn't killed them before because you didn't want to lose the power of the populace they possessed. Now that you were invincible, the power of the populace from them was dispensable to you. Giving them a chance to be educated by the spirits was already being benevolent and righteous. If they still didn't know better, then there was nothing you could do. We submit, 3 days later, most of the human race powerhouses who entered the spirit hall wept bitterly in repentance and truly submitted. You nodded. It seemed that although these spirits were crazed, their guidance for the juniors was very effective. As for the few stubborn individuals, you directly annihilated them on the spot using original power. After dealing with these internal human race affairs, you asked the five-clawed golden dragon if it could continue to advance. After all, there were still 11 perfect other shores suppressed within the human emperor palace. The five-clawed golden dragon said that it had reached its limit. One more step, and it would transcend. At that time, it would no longer be a grand mist supreme treasure but a transcendent sacred object. However, transcendent sacred objects are all innate. Historically, there had never been a transcendent sacred object that advanced from an acquired object. It had most likely reached its peak. You frowned slightly. So many perfect other shores, directly annihilating them would be too wasteful. At this moment, the five-clawed golden dragon offered you a suggestion. It could refine these perfect other shores into evil puppets, cough cough, refine them into human race guardian gods for your use. You nodded, allowing the five-clawed golden dragon to proceed freely. The five-clawed golden dragon showed an excited expression, dragging the incomparably beautiful Rakshasa ghost mother into the spirit hall first for transformation. It even asked you mischievously what type you preferred. Your face darkened, and you tapped its dragon head, making it behave. Afterward, you continued your secluded cultivation. Before going into seclusion, you entrusted one task to your Tao body. That was to unify the transcendent Saint Realm. The Saint Realm was such a large territory, a good place for the human race to rest and recuperate, you couldn't possibly abandon it. Previously, most of the Saint Realm had already been swept by the human race army. And now all the perfect other shores had been cleared by you. In the transcendent Saint Realm, only some underground demon race remained, which were relatively troublesome. But for you, it was nothing, and could even be used to temper the human race army.